night. They needed it. The campgrounds and parking lot
of Lake Ontario.
Attention turns from the barbecues and beverages to inside this massive stadium
in the States. Original league members FC Dallas and Colorado Rapids, unlikely finalists, find themselves just one win away from their first cup in franchise history on a crisp Canadian night. 2010 league supremacy to be determined next.
One moment is a blink of an eye. 2 moments a timeline. Thousands strung together, a lifetime. And some moments are firsts. For you, for your fans, for your franchise. FC Dallas must not pinch themselves. They don't want to wake up from this dream-like playoff run. The champions undone, the Galaxy overcome. And now they play in the final for the first time. However, there are dreams long in the making, needing only a moment to make them come true. For Colorado, they let it slip away back in '97. But this quest has just begun to win MLS title #1. Plenty of dreams to go around and many moments to make them happen. But only one crown awaits the winner of the MLS Cup final.
All eyes on the North American soccer scene turn to Toronto, where a new MLS Cup champion will be crowned. The MLS Cup trophy, what fans of FC Dallas and the Colorado Rapids are hoping they're playing for. It's been a long wait for both franchises, both charter members of Major League Soccer back in 1996. The first final ever for Dallas. Colorado been here before, but that was 13 years ago. For one of them, patience will pay off tonight in Toronto as they'll be lifting that trophy. For the other, it's wait till next year. And glad you could join us here on our ESPN SoccerNet.com pregame show presented by Volkswagen. I am Max Fredas alongside Steve McManaman and Alexi Lalas. It's November. We're in Toronto. It could be colder now. We don't have any rain and any wind, so we got lucky. There's a lot of wind, though, so I want to apologize for our hair beforehand. Okay. Steve, you played in a couple FA Cup finals, so you know how big the big game is. It's been a week for these teams in the build-up. What's going through their mind, for especially two teams who haven't been here before, now that the game is here?
Well, I think the fact that we're only half an hour away from the game now is brilliant, isn't it? You know, the excitement. We've got the Prodigy playing. You can see this is a special occasion tonight. And they must, I mean, they just have to go out and enjoy themselves. It's a wonderful occasion. Try your best. Leave it on the field and hopefully get that winner's medal.
Now, you're out there on the field earlier. You felt the wind. How's that going to affect the game tonight?
Well, it's calmed down a little bit, but I think if the both teams, they like to play football, they like to get it on the floor, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Let's hope not anyway.
Alexi, in 2010, never was it harder to make the playoffs, never was it harder to navigate through the playoffs. Both these teams were able to do it, but both still want to keep that underdog role.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that right now FC Dallas is the favorite, but Colorado is certainly not an underdog. And when you look at it, maybe not the sexiest teams, but I'm telling you right now, these are two quality teams with individuals that can change the game. For Dallas, you're talking about David Ferreira, the MVP of the league. And for Colorado, you got Connor Casey and Omar Cummings up top that can score at any minute. So this is an interesting matchup. Big picture, this is important for the league. You got two teams right now that certainly could use this opportunity to say, you know what, we are important, we are relevant in our markets, and that's going to play into the offseason. So a lot of things on the field that are wonderful about this matchup, and some things off the field.
Neither team has wavered in the build-up through the playoffs, but perhaps the big game could change all that. For FC Dallas, though, they have a big game player, the league MVP. Yes, there's no David Beckham, Landon Donovan tonight, but we do have David Ferreira.
David Ferreira, this is so important for Colorado. In order to win this game today, they have to shut this guy down. Not necessarily a forward, not necessarily a midfielder, pulls into that space, and almost every single attacking opportunity that Dallas has goes through this guy. Colorado all week certainly has been looking, although they're not telling us, in a way to stop this guy right here.
And there is David Ferreira. A lot of these players will have colorful headgear.
Can he see?
Hopefully he'll be removing that a little bit later. But nothing has turned this David Ferreira-led team away from what their goal has been all season, and they have been one of the best teams from the beginning. How did they get here? They have earned it. First game, they beat the defending champions Real Salt Lake in Dallas, taking that advantage to the second leg, which they held on a 1-1 tie to book their ticket into the Western Conference Final, where they had to head into the cauldron that was the Home Depot Center and thump the LA Galaxy 3-0. Now, for Colorado, they have been the more fortuitous of the two teams heading to the final. They had a pretty innocuous 1-0 win over Columbus in the semifinals of the Eastern semis. Then they lost the second leg. A late goal by Connor Casey helped them force extra time and penalties. They move on to a Eastern Conference final that they got to host because San Jose got by the Red Bulls. So they got through there, and Colorado booked their ticket into the MLS Cup final for the first time since 1997. A very talented Colorado team, and it starts with the two guys up front there, Alexi.
Yes, you're looking at them right here. Connor Casey and Omar Cummings. What an incredibly dynamic duo up there, and they play well so well off each other. When Omar Cummings gets the ball out wide, Connor Casey always crashing to the net. And for FC Dallas, they have to find a way to stop these two.
How valuable is it to have not one but two scoring threats at the top there, Steve?
Listen, we all know the most important thing and the harder thing to do on a football field is to score goals. The fact that they've got two and they're firing at the moment and they're working so well together, as Alexis just said, is a dangerous combination. And it's great to see. It's great to see someone, especially two people, scoring lots of goals.
It is starting to bristle here at BMO Field as the fans have gotten by the nasty weather, if you will. Now the two men who are in the booth, nice and cozy, that will be calling tonight's game, Ian Darke, John Harkes. Gentlemen.
Max, not that cozy, I can tell you. Been hearing about the goal scorers there for Colorado Rapids, but it's goalkeepers who help to win games as well. And in Kevin Hartman, Dallas, John, have a goalkeeper in stunning form.
Absolutely, Ian. And the first thing you think about, especially when you look for anybody that's going to have a solid, confident back line, is a good goalkeeper. And Kevin Hartman has gone more than anything you can even imagine, because really being dropped by Kansas City, picked up by Dallas, he just went from strength to strength. The biggest thing in terms of winning that game against LA Galaxy, he was the answer. If he's not in goal, FC Dallas is not here tonight. And then for Matt Pickens on the other end in Colorado Rapids, a big turnaround for him as well. When he gets here, he finds himself in a position where, well, they'd be considered the underdog. Matt Pickens comes up with the saves, and under pressure from the guy, you saw last week, sometimes the distribution, it makes all the difference in the world. And tonight, in these conditions, it has to be a goalkeeper who's going to be strong, and that's going to be the difference.
Might it even come to a penalty shootout? Matt Pickens, by the way, has never saved a penalty in MLS. Might he break that trend tonight? Well, as we've been telling you, it is a freezing night here. It really could be the coldest MLS Cup ever. Will the conditions affect things? Let's go down to Rob Stone.
Well, Ian, this is certainly one of the concerns about playing a late-night game in late November in Toronto. The weather. I'm not a meteorologist, but I'm going to play one on TV right now. The temperature right now, 5 degrees Celsius. We're in Canada. It's about 41 degrees Fahrenheit. The feels like temperature, though, in the low to the mid-30s, and it's going to stay that way throughout the game because whipping winds. They've been constantly going at 15 to 20 miles per hour all day long. It will continue through the game. That is going to be the biggest factor weather-wise on this game. The good news, though, Max, the temperature actually is going to be rising throughout this game, so maybe, just maybe, there may not be a need for that coat that you wore on your Antarctica expedition.
I safely returned with a little bit of frostbite, Rob, but I am A-okay. Thanks for the concern. Rob from Florida, California, sunny Spain. We'll be talking about the weather a lot. But now let's get to the starting 11. FC Dallas, they threw a spanner in the works, as you would say in England, by putting Atiba Harris at the top. He remains there for Dallas Hyman.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Dallas's lineup, absolutely no changes. You talked about Kevin Hartman in goal, Atiba Harris up top, McCarty and Hernandez in the midfield doing a lot of that work for David Ferreira, who we talked about and will continue to talk about throughout the night. On the other side, you have Colorado, and for me, Colorado is about the spine. Omar Cummings and Connor Casey up top, but behind them, Jeff Laurentowicz and Pablo Mastroianni, the real engine behind Colorado. Incredible spine going all the way back there to Pickens.
Let's talk about that engine room in the middle of Laurentowicz and Mastroianni. They give each other the liberty to do a lot of things, and that's one of the things you want to take a closer look with their illustration.
Yeah, when David Ferreira for FC Dallas pulls back into the midfield, it means that there's 3 versus 2 in the midfield. So we talk about Colorado. How are you going to defend about that? Well, what's going to have to happen is the outside midfielders like Brian Mullen are going to have to tuck in at times when they don't have the ball. We take a look at here, 1, 2, 3. Jeff Laurentowicz, Pablo Mastroianni, and Brian Mullen. Mullen tucks in. They're able to win the ball, and then there's that inside-outside run by Omar Cummings right there. Look at that. Connor Casey near post, and Pablo Mastroianni coming in to finish up the goal. But it all starts with good defensive posture when they don't have the ball, and then winning it and tucking in on the outside with those midfielders.
And with Colorado, Steve, real quickly, with the partnerships, we saw it at the top of the attack in the midfield. It allows those two guys to have a little more freedom.
Well, it does, and it's very unselfish role to play that, and but it's vitally important. If anything now, it's becoming more and more popular, and if so, arguably the most popular and hardest role you can play.
Yeah, not the most traditional number 5s, but they make it work certainly for Colorado. When we return, we get a closer look to an MLS success story. Kevin Hartman, 14 years in the league. He has earned his team spot in this MLS Cup final. Could he get over the hump? We'll give you a closer look at him. Thanks with Jilly Fatty when we return.
Back pain. Is it ruining your sleep? Does it hurt to bend over? Are you trapped in an endless cycle of dangerous pain pills? Is chronic back pain ruining your life? Well, finally, there's an answer. Introducing Back to Life, the 12-minute back pain solution that's changing the way America treats back pain. The secret to Back to Life's extraordinary results is a breakthrough technique called continuous passive motion. Simply lay back in complete comfort and let the Back to Life gradually and gently ease your tight muscles, making them flexible and supple. As your muscles relax, the continuous passive motion opens up compressed vertebrae and releases pressure on sensitive nerve endings. The cartilage becomes flexible again, and movement becomes easier. The pain simply melts away. So now you can comfortably sit, sleep, walk, lift, enjoy your favorite activities, and finally get your life back.
To have years of pain basically ease away was absolutely incredible.
I would go to a mall for an hour and I'd say, hey, I got to get to the car. My back's killing me. Now I walk at the mall for exercise. All I know is that it works.
For 20 years, my back has hurt, and I've accepted it. And then I was introduced to Back to Life, and now all of a sudden it just doesn't hurt. Pain's gone.
Hundreds of thousands of back pain sufferers are now enjoying life virtually pain-free. And now you can try this amazing machine for the low 30-day trial price of only $14.95. That's right, you have 30 days to prove to yourself that the Back to Life will relieve your back pain, no matter how severe or how long you've suffered. So what are you possibly waiting for? Call the number on your screen right now. Ask for priority processing, or for faster service, visit our website at trybacktolife.com.
Call 1-800-357-5218. That's 1-800-357-5218.
In soccer, so often, a single act leads to victory or defeat. It can happen anytime, anyway, anywhere. With one whistle, one goal, one misstep, one move. One moment is all it takes in the MLS Cup final.
Well, a great atmosphere here as FC Dallas prepare to face Colorado Rapids in the MLS Cup. Fans can't wait for it. Two surprise finalists, and the atmosphere building all the time. Now, of course, on these occasions, the coaches tend to treat their teams as a state secret, but the lineups have been confirmed. Are there any surprises for you, John?
Well, Gary Smith really has gone to a 4-4-2, but he's made one change. Wells Thompson will come out of the left side of midfield. Jamie Smith comes in, the ex-Aberdeen player, Scottish international. With the experience, Gary Smith wants to change things up. Cummings, of course, and Casey up top. Mastroeni, Lorentowicz down through the central part of the midfield, and Mullen on the right. And, of course, Matt Pickens in goal with the back four. For FC Dallas, Shellis Hyman said to me today, John, I would be crazy if I changed this lineup. That played excellent against LA Galaxy. No changes at all. The 4-5-1, of course, Kevin Hartman played brilliant in that last match. The same back four. Hernandez will have a different role. He'll sit in front of that back four, maybe a little bit deeper tonight than he does usually. And then we'll see how these guys get on in terms of getting into the attack.
Okay, that's the lineup. So what have you got for us in Hawks' corner then?
Well, one of the key things, and we could talk all night about the matchups in midfield, but for me, Atiba Harris has made a difference. When he plays up front, well, he draws attention. And when he draws that attention away from the central part of the field, well, this is what happens. He finds space and creates it on the wing. But he dishes this one off really quickly to Chavez. And David Ferreira, the MVP right here, he finds a space when he peels off that back line. All the difference in the world. Technique, quality on the turn, great finish. Omar Cummings on the other end, well, he likes to go from a central striker's role to out wide. He provides great service, and no one braver than Connor Casey, who puts his head into everything, Ian, will find the back of the net. So they've got to mark up tight on him.
Well, the Dallas coach, Shellis Hyman, is down at pitch side with Rob Stone.
Well, Coach, where do you guys feel you have the advantage tonight?
Well, I think we've been playing good soccer. You know, we beat two very, very good teams, Real Salt Lake. To get here, and then beat LA, who's the Supporter Shield champion, are winners to be here. So I think we're playing our best soccer.
What did you tell your guys about how to deal with the win tonight?
Well, you know, for us, we don't want to beat ourselves. The ball's going to be doing some strange things in the air, and at the same time, the field's very wet, and we're trying not to do any turnovers in the middle third or the back third.
Coach, appreciate your time. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
And facing Schellas Hyman tonight, there he is. Bit younger, Gary Smith, who's done such a great job as the head coach of the Colorado Rapids. He once played under Martin O'Neill, the famous manager from the Premier League, now no longer with Aston Villa, of course. And Gary Smith having the time of his life as a coach. And there is always the battle of wits and strategy between the rival coaches. And certainly last week, Schellas Hyman, there was a feeling that he really did pull off a very, very good piece of strategy to beat the Los Angeles Galaxy by 3-0. What a stunning result. Can they repeat that here? Colorado Rapids had choice of colours, and they stick to their famous burgundy here. A change outfit today, blue and white hoops for FC Dallas, and a header straight away. Just going wide of the post from Ativo Harris.
Well, it's a great run by Ativo Harris. He pings this ball, and he gets on the end of it in terms of the box. Great early ball, and that's the difference from FC Dallas. They've been really lightning in terms of getting forward, quick decisions. You see the release right there. It's a brilliant ball played in by Benitez. Not too far past the post, and a little bit of a wake-up call straight away.
It's quite a clever header, that, by Ativo Harris. He's only scored 4 goals during the regular season. New role for him in the last couple of games. Is the man preferred to Jeff Cunningham at the top of the formation. John, who had a fantastic game last week, trying to get that ball clear. Very experienced in that central midfield. Colorado Rapids with Laurentowicz in there alongside Mastroeni. Let's take a look at who's primed to perform, fueled by Gatorade.
Well, David Ferreira has to be the player, because I'll tell you, everything clicks through him. And in terms of the attack, but also defending too, David Ferreira gets back and he works very hard for his teammates. A great leader, and he's provided so many creative assists, great vision going forward.
First involvement for Omar Cummings. Both of these sides looking to win the MLS Cup for the very first time in their history. The Rapids did appear in the 1997 final, losing 2-1 to DC United. I think you were involved in that one, weren't you, Hartsey?
I was, actually. And it was a very good side for DC United. That was our second title to win against Colorado Rapids, who really came from nowhere and did very well to get to the final. It was a good battle. I remember the game well. Sold out crowd in RFK Stadium. It was 57,000 plus. Great atmosphere.
There is Laurentowicz. He's a key figure and scored twice against Dallas in the recent 2-2 draw between the sides. In fact, half of the goals he's got this season. Hamalu playing against his old club here, as is Drew Moore and Anthony Wallace on the opposition tonight. Dax McCarthy, Keenan and Nandez just sit in front of that defence, providing the shield all night. The skipper looking for his first ever MLS Cup when he's failed in the final 3 times. Waiting in the minute is Connor Casey. Is Cummings, key player, the Jamaican tonight, but quickly crowded out there. McCarthy feeds it, looking to find space all the time, and can Pereira really pull the strings as he did against Galaxy last week? Here he is on the ball. Voted the MVP on Friday of MLS this year, and well deserved too. Mullen. And then here's Jeff Laurentowicz again, another player looking for his first when he failed twice in finals with New England. Mastroeni. Nice and composed in that midfield, aren't they? Colorado.
Yeah, they do a very good job, and they complement each other so well. And if it's ever going to be a game where you want to win the battles, well, Pablo Mastroeni and Jeff Laurentowicz will be on song tonight with each other. So I spoke to Shellis Heineman early in, and I said, what's the big matchups for you? And he said, I have to have George John stay with Connor Casey as much as possible. He's going to be kind of like a man-to-man marker because he's so dangerous in the box. You've got to be physical, and you have that edge. And for Omar Cummings, well, Ihemelu. He says he has to stay with him, very dynamic off the ball. So those two up top will be marked very tightly.
Now Gary Smith spent his career in the lower divisions and non-league in England as a player and an assistant coach, really making his name and putting it in lights tonight here in Toronto. Smith's long ball in, went a long way. Drew Moore was looking to score against his old club in there.
You'll see Kimura as well coming forward out of the back. He wasn't too far away from that. It was a good ball by Jamie Smith. There's a Scottish international. Good delivery, good pace. It's a bit too hard over the top for the players on the back post for the Rapids to get on the end of.
Would have been the story if Drew Moore had scored, wouldn't it, tonight, because he was telling us that he was taken first to see Dallas play when he was 12 years old by his father. It's still the team he supports, but obviously not tonight.
No, and he was, traded for Hugo Ihemelu. And so these players both on opposite sides of their clubs now, looking on the outside in. But interesting enough, Drew Moore has played so well this season, really solidified that back line as a center back.
That is Moore playing it to Wallace. And back to Smith, who's preferred tonight to Wells Thompson in that wide role on the left, the Scot. Getting over an injury to play was a bit of a doubt, but trained okay yesterday and no reaction, so he's in. Really is a freezing night up here. It's a tundra and reindeer country, it feels like almost.
It is, Ian, and when you talk about the build-ups to games and who has the edge, it's all about the night. It's carpe diem, seize the day, seize the moment. Whoever is up for this game tonight, that's who's going to take it.
Wallace comes out to Smith, who's been involved quite a bit on that left-hand side early on. Mastroeni with a clever little ball to Mallon, who made a good angled run there. And that was nicely worked by the Rapids.
See Brian Mullen, how versatile he is. It's a huge pickup. He came from Houston. Gary Smith says, well, that was the key component for us. He was just the final piece of the puzzle through the midfield. With great leadership, all the experience of being in cup finals, Ian, and hopefully they said he uses it tonight.
Well, I think he's been a key signing. I think he was a bit surprised when he made the move, but he settled in very, very quickly and just gives them something extra, doesn't he, there?
Well, he does. You see here, just looking at that last play, Atiba Harris just hitting the studs up a little bit on Drew Moore. Got to the ball first. I think Drew Moore might have kicked the bottom of his boot. And getting back to Brian Mullen, I talked to Dominic Kinnear, and he said, look, I love him, excellent player, solid, every week he's there, responsible, and that's what a pro is. But he knew, too, he might not be able to hold on to him going into next season, so he had to make a move.
A lot of these players playing the biggest games of their club career. Kimura, scorer of that slightly fortuitous goal, but he won't forget it, which helped the Colorado Rapids to get to the MLS Cup this year. First Japanese player, the real live whack to off the pitch as well.
He does very well. He uses his speed well to read plays and get into position, but also recovering balance. He does a great job.
Packed away pretty unsafe. unceremoniously. Now, can FC Dallas get Pereira on the ball to really orchestrate things? Here's Connor Casey. With Omar Cummings, those two with 27 goals between them this season, which makes them the most ship in the history of MLS. Mullen showing up well early on in his 5th final. He's won in all the other 4, though he didn't get on the pitch for one of them with LA. Mastroeni looking for the free kick, not given.
See how quickly, watch Dax McCarty as he gets forward from that midfield position, and Daniel Hernandez allows him to get forward.
Jackson. On loan for Dillon towards Breck Shea, was on the far post. Great reach him. Harris, who won it, was looking for a little knockdown in there.
Well, he was, and that's the thing too, because Dax McCarty did come forward and then he dropped off. He wasn't sure that Steve Harris was going to win that ball, but I would put my chances on it. You see Jackson here with the throw-in.
ESPN's coverage of MLS Cup 2010 is brought to you by Faster this Thanksgiving. If you're on his list, then you're already dead. Dwayne Johnson in Faster, in theaters Wednesday. And Continental Tire, innovating technology and driving confidence. Dax McCarty's effort was blocked on the way through. Good pressure from Dallas. To do here, and it's been done well as 2.
See Benitez come all the way from the left back position just to make sure that got into Kevin Hartman's hands. Kevin Hartman, 4 MLS Cups, won 2 out of the 4. He said he was very excited to be back here and to get another piece, another bite of the apple, as he said.
Jackson with a little chip forward. Wallace getting that one away. Maybe 1 or 2 signs of nerves early on, with both sides just finding it hard to keep the ball.
Well, that's the thing. Cooler heads will prevail, Ian. And it's up to some of the players that have been in big games before to set the example and get the first touch on the ball. But Dallas do such a good job of that possession game, setting things up. The patience has to be there.
Same towards Shea. He's got the wrong side of Kimura for a moment. Very pacey out there, the 20-year-old Breck Shea. Set up the 2nd goal last week. Play's going to have to be pulled back here for a free kick to Dallas.
Daniel Hernandez picking up a bit of an injury there. Played in 3 of MLS Cup finals himself. Revolution. So he has not won one yet, as of yet. He said he was hoping to change that tonight.
Here's Pereira. They'll have worked long and hard in trying to nullify him, but he knew that would be the way of it after his performance last week. Everybody talking about him all week long.
Well, it's all season long too, Ian. I mean, he's just done such a great job of finding space. He's intelligent. He's always a step ahead of players. And his first touch creates everything.
Casey trying to hold it up. It's important he does and bring others into play. Dallas defense this year, best record in their history. Only 28 conceded all season. That's less than 1 goal per game.
That's unbelievable. Both teams have improved defensively, and in terms of getting goals, well, how resilient do you need to be? You've only lost 4 games this year for FC Dallas. That's a great record.
It's a phenomenal record, really, but there were 14 draws in there as well.
No, but again, it just shows character, shows resilience, that they don't give up on plays, and they continue to get that, and they don't lose matches, so it's hard to beat. When you're a team that's hard to beat, a lot of it has to do with that man in goal, Kevin Hartman, right now. Well, that sets the tone right away.
I think right now the Rapids are pretty hard to beat too, though, aren't they?
Well, they are. They've surprised a few people, but the work rate, and especially when you see guys like this, Mastroeni coming forward from deep positions in midfield against the Columbus Crew, he was the difference in that first leg, getting the goal.
Here's David Pereira again. 8 goals and 13 assists for him this season. Only Landon Donovan created more goals. But Landon Donovan doesn't make the final, and David Ferreira does. Cummings is quick, but not quite that quick to latch onto that one. Laurentowicz with the important interception. Real tenacious stuff from him in the middle of the pitch there. Van Smith. Now here's Connor Casey.
That's a matchup that I talked about early on. Connor Casey just losing his footing there. It's a bit wet. There's a ball behind. But again, those two are going to be tight. George Johns did such a good job of shutting down and closing Edson Buttle. He didn't give him a lot of space. We know how lethal Edson Buttle has been all season long for LA.
Jonas with some good play. Smith's got a bit of grass to work with here. It's well cut out by George John. Ferreira. Tita Harris. One thing they'll have to watch, Colorado Rapids, is that they don't leave too much space in behind if they play too high a line for Harris to use his pace to run into. One of the many, many subplots in this final. Knocked long by Jackson into a decent area as well. Flag was up. We do have Jeff Cunningham, the second top scorer in MLS all time. Your old mate waiting on the bench, and I bet he'll be waiting a bit impatiently too.
He will. I know Jeff very well. Played with him at Columbus Crew, and he's a competitor. Loves to be out in the field. This season, he's the leading goal scorer for Dallas, and he's on the bench. So, a bit ironic, but at the same time, it's hard to change a lineup like that. You know, you just can't. A manager gets a feeling, he says, you know what, I have to go with it. This is the team that got me there. He's contributed throughout the year, though. He'll be dangerous coming off the bench.
Connor Casey definitely does get a start. Here he is on the ball now. To take on Jackson. Look at the covering. Good there by Chavez, who scored in that win against Los Angeles. Ball badly given away there. Cummings. Not the wisest idea to give the ball to him around the edge of the penalty area. Big work ethic, Colorado Rapids. Fast break might be on here. Ferrari couldn't find Shea, who was in acres of space on that far side. Had that ball found him, they would have really been in trouble, the Rapids.
Well, it's a bit uncharacteristic of David Ferreira. Usually he can pick out players anywhere, but he's lucky Marvell Wynn. Well, he's unlucky, but Marvell Wynn's lucky he was there to break that one up. You're right. Shea was going forward quickly.
Dax McCarty. Ferreira was looking to break up, the goalkeeper had come out there. Ferreira had just managed to get there ahead of Drew Moore.
Oh, excellent challenge by Drew Moore, and the timing is so important. To tackle a ball. Well, the first thing is your instinct, but your balance. As soon as you see a player getting close to that, look at the timing on that. He's committed to it. He comes right through the ball. Very good job defensively. He makes the mind up for the keeper. He doesn't have to come out picking. The defender's already there.
Jackson with the cross in an early ball. Brett Shea couldn't quite get his volley away. He goes down in the penalty area. And all for a moment, it was almost like rollerball in there, that old movie.
Well, Kamara just puts the ball out of touch so that the referee can see if Brett Shea is okay. Well, again, it looks like he's about to block the clearance, and here's what it is. Brian Mullins there. He kind of like just kicks the back of him. He's reaching for the ball from behind. You see Brian Mullen come through. Toledo so far, the referee allowing play to go on. And I think Shellis Hyman saying that might have been a penalty.
Well, I was going to say, I'm surprised there weren't more appeals there from Dallas for a spot kick. Mullen might have said it was inadvertent, but he didn't win the ball.
Well, I've been in games, Ian, where, you know, when you complain right away, the initial reaction is you help manipulate the referee sometimes and make his mind up for him, but there was nothing from FC Dallas at all.
The coach will be having a word about that.
Well,
being cynical.
He'll definitely be having a word with the fourth official and bring it to his attention.
as always. Brechet right there on his feet. And his first cap for the U.S. side against Colombia in Philadelphia.
He went through a little bad spell during the season after being sent off and losing his place in the side, but he's been back recently. He's given away quite badly there by Colorado Rapids. Kimura doesn't cut it out on that side, and Benitez can get across him, but couldn't really pull it back enough.
Well, you saw the conditions, a little bit of a play on the ball there, because Kimura looked like he had it covered to pick it off, but it skipped off this wet surface. The grass, remember last year at BMO Field, it was all turf, so grass this year, they soaked it before, so the ball's going to skip, especially in this cold weather, Ian. You've got to get your first touch and be prepared right away.
I think it's the easiest surface for the players, and what the two coaches were saying after training here yesterday. I was a bit surprised they trained on it 2 days running ahead of the game.
First touch from David Ferreira. He's going to be marked tightly tonight. There you see being closed down early from Wallace and also Laurentowicz.
Hernandez doing well, very experienced figure, and the key figure, the skipper for FC Dallas. It really is a tale of the unexpected, this final. These two sides were not the two clubs fancied to be in this final. All the talk was about a possible LA Galaxy, New York Red Bulls final, but there's no Landon Donovan, there's no David Beckham, there's no Thierry Henry. But these clubs have deserved it, the way they played in the playoffs.
Well, they have, and they've come out, they played as a team. So the ball a little bit too hard, the weight of the pass is going to be so important, as it is always in every match. But as you said, Ian, it's talk about the DP, the designated player, trying to bring more talent into this league, which is important, and you definitely need that. But these two sides doing it as units, as teams, and the individual players really shining throughout the season for each of them.
Hernandez going very long indeed, looking for Harris, who can of course switch wide to the right later on in the game if they want to bring on Cunningham. Corner's been given. Not happy about that. Drew Moore is complaining about the award of the corner, and there'll be a real row if something should develop from this.
There's a bit of deception. David Ferreira, when he plays the ball in, you see the timing of runs is so important in making sure somebody attacks it.
Offside flag goes up.
You see that?
That wasn't in the script, was it?
No, it wasn't at all, but Drew Moore, he orchestrated that as a defender. You see David Ferreira in an offside position. But again, when the ball gets played back to you, you know this. From youth soccer, you learn this right away, but you see the step early. Now you see him, he doesn't come quickly off the corner, does he, Ian? Once you play that ball in, if you want it back, step onto the field right away and go and receive the ball. And he should be receiving it with his left and sticking it in the box.
He's still complaining about it to the...
Yeah. Well, all players, hey, when you're a player, you're never offside, right? You always complain to your assistant ref.
Hoping you'll get the next decision, of course.
Right.
Yeah. I think we've all learnt the psychology by now.
Well, you talked earlier, Ian, about the strategy.
Mastroeni might get yellow card for that. He wasn't 10 yards away and blocked it.
That's what Dax McCarty's complaining about right now.
Well, I hate to see that. Players should not be arguing for other players to get yellow cards. I hate to see that.
Well, he said, you remember before, too, when referees, they made the statement that if you try to ask for a yellow, I'm going to book you right away. It's wrong. You're right. Because it's disrespectful to the game, disrespectful to the opponents. But at the same time, Mastroeni, he could have prevented a quick free kick being played there too, Ian. You got to think about that.
Which is not to say it shouldn't have been a yellow card. It just need McCarty to tell us it, really. Here's Cummings. Kimura to his outside, those two big mates. It's Mullen. Nicely worked. Mastroeni just slipping at the vital moment there. Is that a sign that the surface is a little difficult, or did he just lose his balance? Monday, November the 29th, don't miss Barcelona taking on Real Madrid, two of the best clubs in the world, live on ESPN Deportes or online on ESPN3.com at 2:55 Eastern. That's Monday the 29th. Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo scoring hat-tricks this weekend.
Unbelievable. Yeah, the goals are flying in La Liga. And we saw Messi score for Argentina against Brazil last week. Well, you want the entertainers to be on display, Ian. And in that game, they will be.
What was it, Barcelona won? 8-0 away from home.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Well, the fans here tonight, you can see them for the Rapids and FC Dallas, and also representation from Toronto FC. We're all hoping that they can be entertained.
Is Wallace playing only his 11th game for Colorado Rapids tonight. Smith cut it back quite well. Hernandez and McCarthy. Jackson, the on-loan Brazilian. It's a good move. It's a terrific move, in fact, so far. Chavez just losing the momentum of it with his first touch. But they really did put the passes together terrifically, Dallas, for a moment there.
Well, it's great understanding the touches and movement off the ball. It all starts in their own 18 defensively. Chavez, unfortunately, takes that as a negative touch back towards himself. Should have opened up and one down the wing. Well, that's what Dallas do, though. They try to play the right way. Shellis Hyman continuously saying, I'm proud of the boys because we stick to it. We want to keep the ball moving, free-flowing.
But a lot of pace about the side, Dallas. Somebody's never really done too much or made too many headlines in MLS, but all these things change, of course. Colorado Rapids, likewise, both of these sides, well, certainly the winners will attain a little extra luster, won't they, for next season?
Absolutely, and, you know, it goes down to it, too, Ian. Whenever you're managing or coaching a team, you say, play as a team, because then as individuals we'll shine anyway.
Jackson's down injured, referee's not interested. Play goes on. Casey working with Laurentowicz. Two redheads in the opposition midfield, Laurentowicz and McCarthy tonight, playing similar roles for their sides. Through ball, finding Laurentowicz. Kimura. Who spent 10 hours a day learning English so he could get a place in a college in this part of the world. Now then, Casey going down in the box there. Wants the penalty. There's a big call, and the referee had a good view and says no.
Well, he had a better view than us, Ian, from up here in the booth. But he saw the tussling and the fighting, the pushing and shoving. The Hemelu, the battle's on. That's the two matchups right there. The push and shoving there. First, there goes one foul. Did he clip him there? Well, he was asking for it. Oh, that looked like a penalty. Looked like Connor Casey had the edge on him, and he was going to put the ball across the box. Now we see Jackson down. Again, he got injured early on. He sprung up from the ball. Didn't get played to. Here's another look. This is a great angle right here. We'll be able to see it. There's the first one as they're shifting for the ball. Does he catch him there? Both his legs, and you see right there, he's putting his hand up like I didn't touch him. And Connor Casey has other opinions in the game. Benitez was saying I did not touch him and I didn't make contact. His legs were there.
Well, that's a massive call by Baldomero Toledo, the referee who had a reputation for handing out penalties and red cards. And on the far side, the referee's assistant there, talking to two of the Rapids players. They're absolutely determined and convinced that should have been a spot kick.
Well, from where we are in that replay, I thought it was close to being a penalty. And the assistant referee doesn't raise his flag, and that's why I'm kind of curious. There's a challenge. They're both fighting for each other. He gives him a kick there.
But that could have been a red card as well. Well,
well, anyway, this is the key part of the game right now. When there's a little bit of a pause, players lose focus, and then there's a set piece, and all of a sudden you find yourself 1-0 down. So you've got to be focused if you're Dallas and you're defending in your end. Colorado might be able to take advantage of it.
But they might have got away with one there, Dallas. Looking at all those pictures again, that is a massive talking point in the game. And how important might it prove to be? This is Brian Mullen. He's got him idea. He didn't quite get enough on it.
No, that's exactly what I was just saying. You can't fall asleep when there's a pause in the game like that. There's distractions. It's a great ball in, and this is what you see. Omar Cummings and Connor Casey, they offer so much. The run towards the near post over Ihemelu. He gets the flick-on header. Nobody on the back post there. He's trying to direct it towards goal. You see Kevin Hartman, the keeper there, saying, leave it, I've got it. And he still can't take goal kicks from his knee injury from Thierry Henry throughout the season. Hernandez has to come back and take him, and this changes things. If he doesn't get up quickly, Ian, sometimes you keep players onside when it's headed right back at you.
Looked on towards Harris. There's no doubt about it. That call over the penalty is the big talking point of this first half so far. And this referee, remember, is the man who awarded the most penalties and red cards in Major League Soccer between 2007 and 2009. Not quite so many this season. Did he shirk from the big decision there?
Quite possibly.
Now there's always a million debating points in this game.
It makes the game so beautiful, all the opinions.
Good versatility there. Pickens with a header away. Chavez. Around the corner was a good ball by McCarthy. Chavez again. Looking to get the early cross in. I'll tell you that out of picture, Jackson's really struggling for Dallas with an injury at the moment. But here's Harris. That'll be a corner. I think they're just going to see whether Jackson can soldier on. He's holding his hip. Not quite sure what the exact problem is. They won't want to make a change, certainly not this early. Pereira, who handles all the set pieces for Dallas, goes a long way, and Ihemelu looking for a goal against his old club there, the defender.
Well, it's a good ball in from Pereira, and he just peeled off from Brian Mullen. You see it right there, and there's the header. He doesn't keep it on the frame, but again, it's just dangerous, and got to be tight, marking up, but he is very strong in the air. Ihemelu has good timing. Talked about him becoming partly maybe a Canadian international. Said he'd like to be a U.S. international, but that's still up for discussion, I guess.
Well, he's in the right part of the world for that.
Yeah.
First time the final's ever been held in Canada. It's the 15th version of MLS Cup this year. Your old club DC United still with the most wins, 4. There will be a new name on the trophy by the end of the night, though.
Well, it's a common theme this season, right? We saw it in 2010 World Cup between Spain and Holland. One of them was going to lift the trophy for the first time, and now we're seeing it here in MLS Cup.
Shay's ball was too near the goalkeeper. Let's go down to Rob Stowe.
Well, guys, they are going to pull Jackson out. His left hip noticeably bothering him, so the coaching staff of FC Dallas bringing in Zach Lloyd right now, and talking to the coaching staff right now. He says, that a straight switch. Lloyd goes right to fullback. They said, that's why we drafted him. 2 other quick bullet points, guys. The wind actually seems like it's calming down right now, and on the Colorado side, most of their attention from the bench has been to their forward, Omar Cummings, trying to get more runs out of him, John. Looking for kind of those looping runs, go inside to out and outside to in.
Well, that's the thing, Rob, when you see the movement of Omar Cummings and the space that he can go into. Sometimes he comes down the left, too, and with Jackson coming up and struggling. One discussion he had to talk about is Heath Pierce not involved in the 18. This is a U.S. international who's been injured for a bit, and then he tweeted...
He's telling everybody on Twitter that he's not in the 18.
Right. Well, Jackson's upset, a lot of emotions. Obviously, you want to play in the Cup final. We saw that from Javier Morales of Real Salt Lake, had to come out against the LA Galaxy last year in Seattle. He was very emotional. And, of course, Jackson early on. Zach Lloyd coming on, good player from UNC in college, did very well. But normally you see a Heath Pierce come on with the experience coming from his injuries, but not involved in the 18 tonight.
He trained yesterday, Heath Pierce, as well. And you were asking the coach, and he said, well, he might be involved, but he isn't. He's obviously regarded as too soon after the injury. I think his Twitter account's been closed by the club, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been shut down.
Presumably with his permission.
I know, because you said you were going to follow him, but you couldn't.
I don't know how many he has.
Well, the thing
not
is,
now.
no, not now, no. But now that this changes things too, a different dynamic. Zach Floyd, how quickly can he get in to the speed of play right away when he's coming? He didn't have a lot of a warm-up, so that's important. And if you're Colorado, you say, let's go and attack a new player coming on the pitch. As a player, I always did that. You always try to force the option to get down the wing and go after a player, especially if it's an outside fullback. Great switching the ball here from Benitez.
Chavez to play either side. That's a great ball in and a goal as well. He's done it again. David Ferreira, it's a brilliant finish from a wonderful cross, and Dallas have the lead.
Well, one way to get at a team who is very compact and good shape and discipline is to switch the point of attack. And it all starts with Benitez. Excellent vision, brilliant ball. The first touch is better here. And what a great service. Did you see that come in from Chavez? Where's the marking in the box? So David Ferreira, the MVP of the league, should not be that wide open. He makes a direct run straight to goal, in between the two center backs, totally unmarked. Matt Pickens, well, can he get to there? You don't know, but the ball is dangerous. It's in between. What a great finish. Calm, cool as you like. David Ferreira, that's why he's MVP.
Just terrific from the Colombian. Sheila Steinman first saw him playing on a field in Brazil and made a mental note. That was when he was a college coach. When he became an MLS coach, I'm having that player. He remembered him, he gave him the call, and it's a call he's not regretting.
Well, he's very lucky that he was still available to get, because he is a good player.
Terrific goal. He got all the big build-up, and he's delivered.
Well, he delivered against LA Galaxy last week, too. He scored the first goal against the run of play. And we see him doing it tonight against the Colorado Rapids.
Cummings, good trickery from him. Fine effort as well. That was nearly an instant ripoff from Colorado Rapids.
And this is how dynamic he is as a player. Omar Cummings, the physical strength that he has, but the good touches on the ball. And I'll tell you, he loves to create, and he moves out wide to that right-hand side. He's so comfortable turning on players in and out, and he gets a great shot off.
I'll tell you something, though, John. How big does the non-award of that penalty look now?
Well, it looks huge, and it'll be a talking point surely before they go in at halftime, Ian.
Again, Kevin Hartman with that still slightly suspect right knee after the clash with Thierry Henry. He won't be taking the goal. It's probably sensible. Still worth having him in there with the form he's been in. All those key saves early on against Galaxy last week. Mastroeni. Cummings. Got a lot of character about them, Colorado Rapids. Don't write them out of this because they've gone behind. Kimura. Back in. Mastroeni heads it on. Smith with a header. It wouldn't quite fall for Connor Casey, who was in space.
Well, you're right. You're right about the character. They never say die attitude, because in the second leg against Columbus, Columbus up 2-0, and they came back. They made it 2-1. They went into extra time, won in penalties. They don't give up at all. They're a hard-working side. They've really improved in terms of quality with this team.
Now Gary Smith won't panic. Used to scout for Arsenal, by the way, as well, in a previous life. Got a bit of thinking to do, though. Drew Moore is the player who's just picked up an injury here. And I can tell you that Saturday, the United States women's national team plays the second game of its 2011 Women's World Cup qualifying series against Italy. The United States a goal up from the first leg in Padova. Alex Morgan scoring in stoppage time. The second leg, Chicago, 2 o'clock Eastern. And you can see that game online at ESPN3.com.
You see Alex Morgan, 21 years old, scored 90 minutes plus, but at the same time, she came in the 86th minute. So coming late to the match and making a difference.
The game was yesterday, of course. Now then, here's the Rapids again. In those, well, now traditional burgundy-coloured shirts. They're still hoping.
Sure it's not claret?
Claret. Well, they're hoping it's a vintage, aren't they, this year, this burgundy, I think. Marlon. This ball is easily cut out by Drew Moore.
Well, it's a poor giveaway from Breck Shea, and I haven't seen him do much on the ball at all. 40 minutes gone so far in this match, and he hasn't offered anything down that left side. Young player, I know that, but the nerves are there. But you gotta start connecting passes to get yourself confident and get involved in the game. He needs to start doing that, Breck Shea.
Colorado Rapids, can they get a goal back? Well, they're the second top scorers in MLS this season with 44. Only Real Salt Lake scored more.
And FC Dallas not too far behind in that as well. You know what, the whole goal kick thing, Ian, I think it's going to come more into question towards the end of the game. If FC Dallas is winning and they're maybe slow in terms of getting Hernandez there, there's going to be some complaints about wasting time.
Cummings again, he's looked quite lively at times, as he often does, of course.
He looks very sharp, making international. And there's been so many different rumors and talks of him possibly leaving Major League Soccer, competing somewhere else. I know Colorado would love to keep him and hang on to him. So would the league.
But he's got that key thing about him, hasn't he? Pace, which frightens defenders. So I think there'd be a few clubs who'd be interested in him, and not only in the United States. Well, he says I won the ball there, Wallace, but he also took the man too, which is why the free kick's been given.
See, Benitez is coming to that ball first and trying to use his body to shield it. Anthony Wallace coming in, reckless challenge from behind. There's a yellow card, first one of the match. Anthony Wallace picking up the yellow card.
There might have been one or two others, to be fair.
Well, the thing is, too, Ian, you know as well as I do, especially in the cup final, you never want to, as a referee, see him throwing yellow cards out, because once he opens the door and gives out the first yellow card, now he can't change his mind. He has to stay true to that. One after another starts to change the game quite a bit, so you don't want to see that happening.
That's a bit of a miscue there. It's just as well Marvell Wynn was there to get it away, because Johnson made a real mess of the clearance. Smith does well.
You see Daniel Hernandez, how closely he is sitting in front of that back line. When balls break up, he's just picking up the loose ball, the second one. You give a corner there, Ian. Kiva Harris working hard into the corners, earning the third corner of the night for FC Dallas.
Player who was an international at the age of 15 for the Caribbean island of St. Kitts and Nevis. Kiva Harris, that's going some, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You talk about all the trades throughout the year, and well, I think Chivas USA will now be saying, well, we shouldn't have let go of Kiva Harris. Here he is starting in the Cup final and doing well for FC Dallas.
Colorado can't afford to concede again before half-time. That's a poor one by Pereira. It's not often we've said anything like that about him.
No.
These playoffs. They've scored 7 goals in the playoffs. I think he's been involved in 5 of them, either with a score or assist. Feeding it wide to Wallace. Colorado, by the way, do not have a win in their last 50 regular season games when they are trailing at half-time. So they'll hope that particular statistic comes to an end tonight if they don't manage to grab a goal in the next couple of minutes.
Well, that's a statement for me, and that's all about confidence. And if you're down a goal, it doesn't matter. There's so much time in the match to get back into it, but if you... Well, that's a huge statement right there.
George John getting in the challenge. Dallas crucially with their noses in front, riding their luck. I think John and I both agree with that penalty decision early on. Chavez from a long way out, that bounced very awkwardly. Pickens, good save. That wasn't easy because it really kicked up off the grass.
Well, you see Marvell Wynn with a good rebound. He's just followed up as a defender, which he should do, but again, great strike. A little bit of a surprise element Another foul right here. When he picks the ball up and he cuts just in front of Pablo Mascherani, does very well to release it. A great strike, and it's skipping off the wet surface, the grass. Matt Pickens gets behind it well.
Sort of lively game, Chavez, and certainly set up the goal. There he is with the header right on cue. Pereira chasing it. Well, they worked hard on keeping him quiet, but they haven't kept him quiet. That's the bottom line here. Wallace needs an early ball. He's overhit it by a long, long way. Coming up at half-time, we'll head pitch side with Max Britos, Alexi Lalas and Steve McManaman. Can't wait to hear what they think about the penalty decision in particular. And we'll break down the first half, and we'll have a special interview. And don't miss this with MLS Commissioner Don Garber with some important breakthrough news. That's all coming up at half-time. Big showpiece night here, and FC Dallas, are they heading for their first ever MLS Cup win? A lot of work still to do, John.
There is, and I think with Colorado, they still have a good shape right now, but they've got to get Connor Casey and Omar Cummings to link up a little bit closer together at times, because when they do, it becomes very dangerous.
McCarty looked like it went out of play, and it did. Casey won the header very well indeed. Mullen brought it down. Laurentowicz, crucially to Kimura. Now, can he get a decent cross in here? In goes Connor Casey. George John, there's a big collision there. Looked like a clash of heads between those two. And both of those are going to need some kind of headache tablet in the morning, I think, when they wake up after that.
Well, this goes back to the earlier statement I said about the physical edge that you have. These two players right here, there's the collision, the heads. Connor Casey just keeping his eye on the ball. George John is a straight-up, it's just a straight-up challenge, but Connor Casey comes across, he's trying to get that ball directed towards goal. Huge collision there. We hope both players are okay.
Important they check for concussion. That's the first thing that the physiotherapist will have done.
Well, the thing about George John, he was kind of standing there as he went straight up, Ian, and you know as well, when there's a force coming at you, catches you in the side of the head. Got to keep an eye on that.
They've already lost one defender tonight, Dallas. And he's a few things to say there, Connor Casey. Don't think they're on each other's Christmas card list, those two.
I don't think so.
He's still moaning, I think, about
he's still moaning about the penalty. Yeah, he's like, which happened earlier.
Guess what? He's got a point. So there'll be more than 2 minutes of added time at the end of this half, which was what we were told because of that injury. I think the whistle had gone quite a long time before. I think Harris just kicked the ball away into the crowd. And nothing more is added there. Well, Connor Casey, it looked like he had a cast-iron case for a penalty, but this referee, Mr. Toledo, doesn't give it. And then David Pereira struck again, the MVP, with a beautiful goal to put FC Dallas ahead here against the Colorado Rapids. It's all set up beautifully for the second half, and we'll have analysis to come. This is the way Pereira did it. Dallas, 1 up at halftime.
Globetrot with Goal TV Canada every weekend. We have the international angle covered with matches from Real Madrid, Barcelona, the Bundesliga and more. Visit goaltv.ca to subscribe and check out the full broadcast lineup. Goal TV Canada. This is football.
This is what it's like getting an amazing discount on a hotel room with top secret hotels from Travelocity.ca. The stress-free and easy way to get up to 55% off great hotels throughout Canada and the US, which makes Travelocity.ca the best place to book discounted hotels. Purpose not included.
This holiday season, get ready to play the all-new Heart and Stroke Calendar Lottery. For only $25, you have a chance to win daily cash prizes every day of the year. You could win $5,000 every day, plus bigger cash prizes every week, every month. And you support Heart and Stroke Foundation research. The Calendar Lottery is a great gift for everyone on your list. Order by December 1st for holiday delivery. Give a chance to win daily cash prizes for only $25. Call now.
FC Dallas 45 minutes away from perhaps lifting that trophy. They lead it 1-0 over the Colorado Rapids at the break. The goal scorer, who else? David Ferreira. Welcome back to our ESPN Soccer Net Now halftime show. Presented by Volkswagen, alongside Steve McManaman, Alexi Lattis. I am Max Bredos. Rob Stone at pregame said by halftime it was going to lower 3 degrees. You guys feel that?
He's lying, I think, isn't he? I'm fine, though. I'm nice and warm.
Yeah, you look at it. You're from England. Anyway, very entertaining first half. You know, FC Dallas last week, Alexi, against the Galaxy, absorbed pressure for half an hour before they scored. They've done it again here against Colorado.
Yeah, they did it to a certain extent. I mean, we talked about David Ferreira. I mean, if this is the guy that everything flows through all week, David Ferreira, the MVP of the league, and yet great players, even when everybody is looking at him, step up, and that's what he did today.
How did the MVP look in your eyes there, Steve?
Well, I think it was difficult earlier on. There was a couple of dubious penalty decisions in the first half, but the one moment of class was the goal. It's a wonderfully crafted goal, and he's, as Alexi said, he's in the right place at the right time. That's what makes him special.
Let's certainly the highlights from the first half, and there was a moment of controversy. I want to hear what you guys thought about the penalty or no penalty on Connor Casey. What did you think there, Steve?
For me, it was a penalty. I think he's brought him down. He has a kick out there, which he's lucky to get away with. The ball's there. Casey gets a good touch and he brings him down. So for me, it was a stonewall penalty, and you can see throughout the game he was hard done by.
I'm not sure it's as clear cut though, because I think that Connor Casey first fouls Benitez, and then everything ensues.
And then, after against the flow of play somewhat, Harvey Chavez finding David Ferreira.
Oh, what a ball. What a glorious ball. Because the defender can't get it, the goalkeeper can't get it, right around the back of the defense. Beautiful.
It had some good flight on it. We were thinking we were going to see the ball on the ground a lot, but they got it up airborne and it worked.
Yeah, there's been a lot of balls going into the box for both sides, but as I mentioned before, the one real quality ball, great ball in that little corridor where it's difficult to commit. And the one man who's there, as I said, the MVP is there. Right place, right time, very composed, lovely finish.
But it comes from a long ball, that cross-field ball, the switch of play. Ball's in the air for a long time. Dallas gets the ball, but Colorado doesn't adjust, because as that ball is flying through the air, the defenders have to be saying, where is the MVP of the league? And they didn't. He ghosted in behind the defender, finished it off.
Colorado really haven't had to play from behind these playoffs, and they haven't done so well historically. They're going to have to dig deep to find that equalizing goal in the second half. When we return, we will be joined by Commissioner Don Garber, who has some very interesting things you'll want to hear if you're an MLS fan. David Ferreira, the difference, 1-0 Dallas at the break.
This holiday season, get ready to play the all-new Heart and Stroke Calendar Lottery. For only $25, you have a chance to win daily cash prizes every day of the year. You could win $5,000 every day, plus bigger cash prizes every week, every month. And you support Heart and Stroke Foundation research. The Calendar Lottery is a great gift for everyone on your list. Order by December 1st for holiday delivery. Give a chance to win daily cash prizes for only $25. Call now.
What is power without agility? Control without grip. Driving without precision. Introducing the award-winning, luxury-loaded, European-tuned, all-wheel drive 2011 Kizashi from Suzuki. No wonder it was voted best in class. The power of control.
Globetrot with Gold TV Canada every weekend as we bring you football matchups from around the world. we have the international angle covered with matches from Real Madrid and FC Barcelona, as well as the Bundesliga and more. Tune in Saturdays and Sundays to watch the stars of the world stage collide. Visit goaltv.ca to subscribe and check out the full broadcast lineup. Goal TV Canada, this is football.
We are back here in Toronto, where FC Dallas are 45 minutes away from their first ever MLS Cup. They'll have a tall hill to climb on a very cold evening here in Canada. Glad you could rejoin us here at halftime. Alexi Lalas joining me, and we're now joined by the Commissioner, Don Garber. Always glad to see you, Don.
Good to be here, Max.
2010, very exciting year. We saw the birth of the Philadelphia Union, and we saw some great developments in this league. 2011, some great things as well with the addition of 2 new teams. Also a few new wrinkles in the MLS calendar. What can we expect?
You know, it starts with the relaunch of the Reserve League. So guys like Omar Cummings, developed in our Reserve League, will be more and more players having that opportunity. We're going to have 2 extra teams in our playoffs, so 10 teams in our playoffs. We're going to have a balanced schedule. Everybody will play everybody, just like our fans are looking for. We're going to have a mechanism where we could have a play-in game to get to see who's in that final 8 for our playoffs. So it starts with a bit of a change of our competition format.
So a 34-game schedule. Obviously, one issue that's come up is the 3rd year running a team from a division that didn't play and qualify for the MLS Cup. What is the league going to do to address that?
You know, it's going to start, we've got to figure out what that mechanism is, Max, and how many buys we have or how many wild cards we have. Listen, it doesn't make sense to have 2 Western teams playing in the Eastern Conference Final. We will find a way to solve that for next year. We need about 30 days to figure that one out.
So under this scenario, you said the 10th place finishing team could possibly win MLS Cup. In 1996, we had 80% of the teams making the playoffs, and we've moved on to now we're 50% of the thing. Is there anything that the league is looking to do to make, say, the Supporter Shield winner, give them more benefits going forward?
Absolutely, Alexi. You know, we've got to find ways that we have that regular season teams have more of an incentive. It could be more allocation money. It could be where they're seated. It could be what we do with our draft. It could simulate promotion relegation. There's so many things we can do, and you're going to see us trying to put those kinds of pieces in place next year or maybe a year after that.
Commissioner, a big announcement going to be made in a couple weeks for the 2018 and what's more important, obviously, on the United States shores, the 2022 World Cup. Seemed like a slam dunk for the United States. Now it's obviously getting in a situation where it's up for grabs. If there's a detail you'd like to put in between now and in 2 weeks' time, what would you like to say to the people in FIFA?
Well, the first thing is that we're a very, very passionate soccer nation. We've got great facilities. We love this game. We're made up of every country from around the world, and we got a league that's got a lot of fans and a lot of teams that really are deeply embedded in their community. And, you know, you're going to see, guys, we're going to start looking at this international calendar. We're going to do a lot of work. We're going to do some research, hire the right people to do that analysis, and it could be that we, at some point, can get to an alignment with the world's calendar. I know that people would like to see that happen. We'll spend the next couple of years figuring out whether that makes sense for us, because I think it's kind of warm out here. You know,
hey, no, look at you. How is it inside the
I'm looking
suite?
forward to a regular season game.
You're making us look bad.
Put that on, because I'm going to put this on. We've been wearing these all during the break, so we're all right.
There you go.
Commissioner, always a pleasure to hear from you. Obviously, you've done a great job, and keep up the good fight in 2011 and certainly with 2022 on your mind.
Thank you, guys.
Much more to come here in Toronto. Great hat, Alexi. And I know it feels warm because he borrowed it. He lent it to me during the break. We'll let you know if Dallas will get back and continue to lead. We'll send it back to the broadcast team for the second half as well.
Globetrot with Goal TV Canada every weekend. We have the international angle covered with matches from Real Madrid, Barcelona, the Bundesliga, and more. Visit goaltv.ca to subscribe and check out the full broadcast lineup. Goal TV Canada. This is football.
Mike, what is your deal, man?
Oh, come on, man. You've been riding me all day.
Mike, you're playing like Betty White out there.
That's not what your girlfriend said.
Baby.
Whoa.
Eat a Snickers. Better?
Better.
How about that?
That hurt. You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfies.
Globetrot with Goal TV Canada every weekend. We have the international angle covered with matches from Real Madrid, Barcelona, the Bundesliga, and more. Visit goaltv.ca to subscribe and check out the full broadcast lineup. Goal TV Canada. This is football.
In soccer, so often, a single act leads to victory or defeat. It can happen anytime, anyway, anywhere. With one whistle, one goal, one misstep, one move. One moment is all it takes in the MLS Cup final.
And FC Dallas here in Toronto, leading Colorado Rapids by 1-0 at halftime, scored by this season's MVP, David Pereira, the Colombian. All set for a fantastic second half. But what about that first half, John? So much to talk about.
There's a lot of controversy in regards to the non-call that was in the box there. Connor Casey being tangled up. You see, there's the challenge that comes in the second time. Here's the first kick right there. Everybody thought he caught him. It was a penalty. And the referee didn't give it. Toledo was far away. And then this happens on the other end. Great ball, switching the point of attack. And you see Marvin Chavez come inside the Honduran international. Good early ball in from the right side. And it's a great finish by David Pereira, the MVP of the league. And he shows why, again, he's so dangerous. You can't turn your back on this player for a second. He's going to hurt you.
Let's take a look at tonight's first half stats presented by Volkswagen.
Well, I see not too much in terms of being tested for Kevin Hartman in goal. Colorado only getting one shot on goal at all, and no substitutions starting out for the second half, Ian. So we'll have to see how things change, not just in terms of the effort, but tactically as well.
Just a reminder that Colorado Rapids, wearing their burgundy or maroon or whatever you like, coloured shirts, and straight away Jamie Smith going down there in a collision. That looked a bit nasty, didn't it?
He and Daniel Hernandez locking in, getting challenged. 50-50 challenge right there, and Jamie Smith getting the nod tonight with the experience over Wells Thompson, who's carrying an injury. And here it is again, just picking up that second ball. You see Jamie Smith gets to the ball first. Hernandez comes through it. Toledo again not on the spot. That looked like a foul. That was a dangerous play.
Let's get an update from Rob Stone.
Well, guys, you see Daniel Hernandez now just getting brought up to the field. He has that wrap on his right knee. It is a bad right knee, guys. Here's how bad it is. After his last 4 games, he's had to have fluid drained from it. Twice this week, he's had fluid drained from it. He had 40 cc's of fluid drained today from that right knee, and the coaching staff telling me in the pregame, guys, he is lined up for surgery on that right knee at some point when this game is over. So Hernandez being a trooper with that right knee.
It's a wonder he's out there at all. Terrific stuff there from Rob. Inside information from the camp. Hernandez was never going to miss the match. I think he would have had to break both legs not to play.
I agree, and when you've been there 3 times and you hadn't won it, you know, for the Revolution, he's been there 3 times. He definitely wanted to be on the pitch. You see Jamie Smith having to come off as well. Have to wait for the referee to bring him back on.
This is the ritual that we have to go through with players having to come off once they've got treatment before they can come back on again. Now Smith is back on. Sometimes it does seem a bit of a nonsense. Kosuke Kimura back to Win, who was nearly caught in possession. Kimura doing the covering for him. Now Drew Moore. Casey bringing it down. They'll believe they can get back into this game, Colorado Rapids. Remember, they were 7 minutes away from elimination against Columbus Crew, and Connor Casey came up with a goal then to take it to penalties, which they won. It's Anthony Wallace. How does Dallas play this now? Do they try to sit on this and play on the counter? That can be a dangerous game. Or do they look for a second goal? that might kill it once and for all.
Well, I think for them, they know that the Rapids have to come out here in the second half and kind of not chase the game, but they have to do something different to get back involved. FC Dallas could react to that, but they have to be making sure that their outside backs are tucked in just a little bit because they're trying to get early service into Connor Casey and Cummings up top. There you see Ihemalu in your picture right there, the center back who was supposed to be marking up with Cummings all night long, according to Shellis Hyman, the head coach.
He did win, didn't he, with Los Angeles back in 2005, Ihemalu. Might be something of a lucky charm in this competition. He hopes so. Here's Drew Moore, like Wynn alongside him. Can play full-back as well. I think maybe the battle lines, we're getting one or two signs are drawn here that Dallas, and they can afford to do this, can play a kind of contain and counter game.
They can, but they need to really rely a lot on Atiba Harris being the lone striker up front, because if he doesn't press the ball and try to make it predictable, it can be difficult when you sit back and just let teams come at you, because over time they may break you down.
Laurentowicz does well, make sure that Ferreira can't latch onto the ball. He does find little pockets of space. Ferreira is clever and intelligent enough to know exactly where that space might be and when to make the runs, as you saw with the goal. Mastroeni is going in his 27th playoff game, but the first time he's ever got to the final, the popular midfield player for Colorado Rapids. Forward to Omar Cummings. Good run from him. Connor Casey waiting in the middle. Cummings just elaborating, goes to ground. There's nobody calling for a penalty this time.
Well, it's just enough from Zach Lloyd to slow play down. George John getting the challenge in from behind, and then you see this late challenge right here. The yellow card going out to Jamie Smith, the Scottish international. Got 2 caps for Scotland, played for Aberdeen before he came here to Colorado Rapids.
He's gone into the book.
This is Omar Cummings just being cut back and forth. Lloyd doing enough here to slow things down. You'll see George John just come in on the opposite side, getting that toe poke in. Good work ethic. And on the other end, Dax McCarty trying to run the ball out of pressure. And the late challenge coming in from Jamie Smith.
He couldn't complain about that one, could he?
No, definitely not.
He's looked a yellow card as it happened, and that's certainly what happened.
And Dax McCarty really slow to get moving. He is still sore. You see it right there. He's a tough player. He's done so well. He's relished in the sort of background role behind David Ferreira. Where they scored goals. Very important one against Real Salt Lake.
Yeah, that was a crucial goal, wasn't it? Gave them a bit of breathing space. Dallas have got to this final really the hard way, beating last season's champions and this season's top team in terms of points, the Supporters' Shield winners, LA Galaxy. Starting as narrow favourites tonight and so far ahead, but this is nice. Laurentowicz on to Cummings again. Ihemalu very muscular and physical. Made sure that he didn't go any further.
Well, he did such a good job because we saw Jeff Laurentowicz get free. They split the defense there through the midfield, and then a good early ball, but physical challenge. He is really all over Omar Cummings.
No heroics needed so far by Kevin Hartman tonight as they were against the Galaxy. That has to change, really, from a Rapids point of view. Breck Shea, there is McCarthy, seems to be all right again after that knock. Benitez playing it forward, may be lucky to still be on the pitch after his challenge on Connor Casey. He could have got a red card, and it could have been a penalty too.
Well, I said beforehand, I thought San Jose throughout the playoffs did a good job of high pressing. They did it against the New York Red Bulls, and they did well. And they did it against Colorado at times too. And Matt Pickens, sometimes when he's under pressure, And that distribution comes back, and that was a difficult ball to handle, really, from Kamara. Well, that could be the difference. When you high press, you squeeze teams, you put them in uncomfortable situations, the ball turns over, and you create something out of nothing.
It's Pereira, who did win 3 titles in Colombia with the side called America. Deep beyond the far post. And it's a goal kick this time. Let's take a look at the all-time league leaders MLS Cup appearances presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Jeff Agoose out on top with 6, but 2 of the players out there tonight, Brian Mullen and Kevin Hartman, appearing in their 5th MLS Cup, equaling Kobe Jones and Jaime Moreno. Some guys get all the luck.
Well, you speak to the player, they don't think about those things. And, you know, it's nice when they get reminded afterward, but the main thing is just to go out and compete, try to win.
Wallace looking to play it long. Got to engineer some clear-cut chances. Colorado Rapids against this miserly, Scrooge-like Dallas defense. Reminds me they had the Santa Claus parade in Toronto today, closing half the streets.
It was hard for me to get back into the hotel with my daughter, a little shopping. Couldn't get back to the hotel.
You wanted to be out there. It's Hernandez with that bad knee we were hearing about from Rob Stone. It really is bad too. How much fluid being drained off it. He really is a soldier for them. Hernandez, beautiful ball. Picked the pass wonderfully for Harris, but that's not so great from him. They are a bit of a mean machine this season, aren't they, FC Dallas?
They are, Ian. A lot of it is, you know, they've improved the defending. They've picked up Kevin Hartman in terms of the goalkeeping. It's done excellent. That's solid as a rock. But also, I think, one of the things you just mentioned, too, you know, even Daniel Hernandez, when he distributes that ball very well, right or left foot, it's easy for him. Dax McCarty, good pass to the ball. David Ferreira, that triangle in the midfield has been very dangerous to mark up against throughout this year.
Kimura's got some defending to do here. Chavez, back to Benitez, and McCarthy. Benitez's ball wasn't the best, in all honesty. Mullen helping it forward. John with the defending. Casey. Now then, Cummins has got some pace. Difficult bounce. Zach Lloyd got it away, not very far. Jamie Smith. Terrific stuff from him. Casey's in the middle here. Can he finish it off? You bet he can. Connor Casey, 1-1.
Well, the equalizer comes for Connor Casey, but it's all the work of Jamie Smith. And he pays off his manager for playing him tonight in the final. It's an excellent ball. He gets around Zach Lloyd. Very dangerous. Here you see it. Nobody has the ball. Connor Casey first to react, and sees it on the ground, just sticks it in the net. Well, there it is.
Goal scorer's goal, wasn't it?
It was, and it's an instinct of Connor Casey. He keeps his eye on the prize. But it's a good ball in from Jamie Smith. His first touch, the speed, though. How much he accelerates to get around Zach Lloyd on the outside. And it's an early ball in. Connor Casey scoring again.
And they're celebrating that one in the Rocky Mountains. Connor Casey, who grew up in Denver, the man who scored 7 minutes from time to rescue the Rapids against Columbus Crew. He's now got 2 goals in the playoffs to add to the 13 he got in the regular season. And is that a bit of poetic justice after the penalty he didn't get in the first half?
Well, he was going to continue to go after it, and that's what makes him, he's hungry, he's competitive. And look at that, in terms of scoring a tied game or giving Colorado the lead, 35. Talk about impact goals. Those are impact goals. That's a striker making a difference for your team. And the fact that he's come back here to BMO Field after playing for Toronto FC, starting his, well, in the Major League Soccer, career. He only had 2 games from though, Ian.
Yeah.
So that's what, you know, he's back here a bit comfortable, but at the same time, well, he knows the field. He wants to score, and he did.
He's got a storied career, spell in Germany, started late in MLS, as you say, Toronto here. One of many trades by Mo Johnston in these parts.
Yeah, and many injuries as well. He's carried many injuries, and sometimes it's got start and stop. But I'll tell you, that ball played across from Smith made it difficult to defend. And when Kevin Hartman came out for it, we'll see him come out for this here.
Wow. Different game now. If Dallas's plan was to sit back and look for things on the break, they'd better think again. Colorado Rapids showing their character once again. That's rattled FC Dallas, who thought they were in the box seat. But these cups and winning them don't usually come that easy. Here's Harris trying to hold it up and engineer something for Dallas. They've got to go up and try to win this game all over again now. McCarty, terrific hit. Really kept that down well. Great technique.
Excellent technique. Dax McCarty has been known to hit strikes from distance. And it's good to test the keeper here because eventually that forces the back line to step up and put pressure on the ball. It opens up space in behind.
He's only 23, but he's the longest serving player for the Rapids. For Dallas, Dax McCarty. Casey, he's been involved in everything tonight, hasn't he?
Well, he is, and you see Daniel Hernandez come in here and kind of double up. In terms of pressure through the midfield for a loose ball, Connor Casey catches him first, and then he takes down Dax McCarty just after. You see Hernandez struggling a bit there. He was upset. Ihemalu's trying to hold him up. Here's the recovery right here. He gets a little bit of a challenge on it. There's the first challenge. Dax McCarty coming in. There's the second challenge. Surprised he didn't get a booking for either one of those. There's like 2 or 3 guys down on the field. It was like a gladiator challenge, and he's just standing there above them.
Let's go down to Rob Stone again.
Well, first, nice use of gladiator, John Hart. But I want to bring up the point here with Shells. I just talked to him a few moments ago about Connor Casey, and that was one of the focuses. You know, he's kind of hoping the officials would keep a little closer eye on Connor Casey, particularly off the ball, but it blends into the other point, which was the main point in the locker room to the Dallas guys. Emotional composure. Keep it together, guys. This is a physical game today.
Thanks, Rob. Free kick coming up here for the Rapids, who are suddenly the side asking all the questions.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing too. You just said emotionally on Daniel Hernandez trying to get back into the game. He's sore. You see him right there at number 2, and he went physically there. Came late challenge, and that's what leads to free kicks. You got to have your discipline, especially when you're in a cup final like this. You cannot afford to give away silly free kicks, which make the difference in the game.
Hartman may have some work to do here if they can get this right. The Rapids, there are 4 in on the plot. This is going to be one straight from the practice ground. Have they got something elaborate cooked up, or is somebody just going to blast it? Real brains trust going on.
Looks like Lorentowicz, and he's scored 10 goals from outside the penalty area this year for Colorado. He can strike it.
And he does strike it, and that's a great save by Hartman, who saw that really, really late.
Excellent save. Yeah, Jeff Lorentowicz cannot believe Kevin Hartman stretches himself. He saw him do that against the LA Galaxy. What a great save. As it comes through a crowded area, his screen. Ian, you just mentioned he saw it late, and he tips it wide.
That is a fantastic save. Smith towards the near post. Well, whatever the manager said at half-time, Gary Smith, it's worked.
Well, he's woken up this team a little bit. They knew they had to change things to get back into it. And all it takes is one play and a special moment. Here's that last save. Here's Lorentowicz just waiting for it. He hits the ball so well. Power, keeps it on the frame. See the ball kind of spinning away from Hartman. He does well to get down. That ball just bouncing on the wet surface. Excellent save from Kevin Hartman.
Even better when you saw it again, because the way that swerved, the way he hit across it, very well to get. That's a good game, this one now, this final. Intriguing. Which way will it turn next? Mullen. Just Berkowitz again. I think New England really wanted him to go, but they couldn't settle the pay differences. So Jeff Cunningham's going to come on soon for Dallas. Meanwhile, Brett Shea. Oh, it nearly found his way through to Harris. Party stays on the floor. He's okay, I think. Hernandez. That was a little on the optimistic side.
It was, but I've seen Daniel Hernandez strike from distance. He has good power and technique. That one just not catching it well. Well, here comes the sub right now. Brett Shea coming out. I'm not surprised about Brett Shea coming out. It hasn't been a good night for him. He hasn't connected on passes well.
So let's look at tonight's substitution, fueled by Gatorade, and on comes Jeff Cunningham, the well-travelled striker who is the number 2 on the list in MLS history in terms of goal scoring, behind Jaime Marino. Just one behind him, 132 regular season goals for Cunningham, who's 34 now, twice the top scorer in MLS.
Well, he finds a way to score, and he's just like that instinct, but he has the speed, he has the one-on-one ability, he likes to create, but he's definitely hungry, has a nose for goal.
I wonder if he's going to have a say. Here's his first involvement, Cunningham. Back and was really cleared very convincingly by the Rapids, and Mullen fails to clear it as well. Can't afford to surrender possession quite that cheaply. McCarthy, fantastic ball. Benitez in. And a really, really good piece of defending by Drew Moore. That was heroic from him.
It was excellent, but I'll tell you, Dax McCarty's having some game tonight. Good distribution.
Chavez played deep. McCarthy again is... You're right, he's on a purple patch at the moment.
Well, he is. It's red against red. The smaller redhead against the big Jeff Laurentowicz redhead, but he's doing very well, Dax McCarty. Jeff Cunningham going up high there. I think what you'll see is Atiba Harris kind of shift out to that right-hand side of midfield. Leave Cunningham as the lone striker, Ian.
That players buzzing around him up there, though. Notably Ferreira, of course. Ferreira, who played all but 1 minute of the regular season. I think he was taken off so he could get applause from the crowd by the coach on that occasion. It wasn't a case of him being hooked, as the pros say. Well, these two sides were among the top 4 scorers in MLS, and you thought there might be a goal or two tonight, and we've had a couple already. There might be more. Give me the ball, says Hernandez. George John. Very impressive in that game against Galaxy last week. Now Cunningham. It's McCarthy again. Thought about the shot. Beats Cunningham. Great ball in. Goalkeeper punches out. Pickens. It does the job.
Talked about earlier on players being comfortable here at BMO Field. Well, Jeff Cunningham's the next Toronto player. We have to see what kind of what the fans do for Jeff Cunningham, whether they cheer for him or jeer him.
Cunningham, who had a season at Colorado. He was also here at Toronto as well. He's one of those players who seems to be playing against his old club every week. He's travelled so much. Enigmatic striker, I think, is what the journalists like to call him.
They find creative ways, don't they, to explain constant moving. More clubs than Jack Nicklaus, they say, right? It's quite a lot of clubs. As long as you're scoring, though, you're always going to find a way to get into someone's team. You're threatening the goal.
Again, kind of cases. I having a very good game. He's making a nuisance of himself. He's like one of those old British bulldog centre-forwards, isn't he? Connor Casey reminds me of a few players from the past, almost. He puts himself about, as they say. This Ferreira getting on the ball. Can he work his magic again for Dallas? One of those situations where maybe the next goal is the winner. 22 minutes left. ESPN's coverage of MLS Cup 2010 is brought to you by Continental Tire. Innovative technology driving confidence. Hernandez getting a terrific ball from him effortlessly, and he's limping as after he played it. He really is struggling, playing through the pain. Daniel Hernandez in the cause tonight. Casey will be brought up for that one. No doubt about it, on Chavez. So one of more people haven't picked up a yellow card.
It's unreal. I was just going to say about that with Connor Casey. He's come into some really late challenges lately. Toledo, I'm sure, is giving him some warning verbally, he said to him.
Well, I think we could have had a few more yellows, and we could have had a red too for Jair Benitez.
Yeah, I think Shelis Hyndman right there is pondering quite a bit about whether or not he has to substitute Hernandez, who seems to be, like you said, Ian, you just pointed out, he's limping.
Ferreira just comes up by Laurentowicz. Moore. It's funny this, the plot's just changed again since the rapid equalizer. Dallas now on the front foot.
Yeah, and Dallas, they do a very good job of spreading the game out. You know, quick touches on the ball, 1 and 2 touch. They move it around so well, and they're difficult to stay with when they do that.
There's Marvel Wynn, among the quickest defenders in MLS. Chavez. It's been a real live wire tonight, and his pass for the Dallas goal was a thing of beauty, really.
It was excellent, and in terms of Chavez, you know, he goes from the right side to the left now, but you saw him come up and score the 3rd goal against LA Galaxy last week. Great finish, but the ball was from David Ferreira that cut them in behind the defense. He's so quick on the ball.
Just about everybody's come forward for this. This is a sign of Dallas's thinking here. Hernandez into the melting pot, and it came off a Rapid's head. It'll be a corner. Here is that corner kick. Nearly a second goal. Nobody could get the clean header on it that they were looking for there.
We see so many players going for this ball, a lot of congestion in there. Almost 2 players. It deflects off of Colorado Rapids and goes back towards Pickens. He's there to scoop up the easy one.
And if their luck was out, that ends up in the corner of the net. Crazy deflection or not. Chavez again, he's got very quick feet. Impressive player, the Honduran. He was in their World Cup squad. Nice spin by Cunningham. Everybody in the crowd, whether they support either of the two clubs or not, has got an opinion on Cunningham. Frustrated there, Mastroeni. Just throwing the ball away, which is often advisable right in front of the referee. But he's in a lenient mood tonight, I think, Mr. Toledo. Another Daniel Hernandez special coming up. It's a long way. It's bouncing around dangerously. There's an appeal for a penalty there by one of the players. Oh, and blocked there on the way through. Chavez couldn't quite latch onto it.
It's an excellent strike from David Ferreira from outside the 18. And you saw the block from Jeff Laurentowicz as he was just coming out of his goal area.
No, they're just hoisting a lot of long balls into that penalty area. Dallas Colorado Rapids just having to live on their nerves a little back there during this spell of the game. Kimura.
Well, we saw a dangerous play come in there from Pablo Mascherani. The referee continued play on for the advantage, but it's getting choppy out there now, Ian.
Key phase of the game. It's Mullen playing in his 5th final. He hasn't lost one yet, and he doesn't intend to lose one tonight as well.
Well, here is a first clearance right there, and they're wondering, there's the shout for the handball, and Brian Mullen. Ball comes and bounces up, and it plays against him. Here's the strike from the top of the box, laid back from George John. There it is, and it just comes off of Laurentowicz. David Ferreira, he was asking for a handball, too, from Laurentowicz. I couldn't tell, but that was a good sequence from SC Dallas, and the pressure's picking up.
A reminder, it has to be intentional handball. That's what's in italics in Law 12. MLS Cup, the showpiece game. Colorado Rapids have come back from a goal down at halftime and a level here against FC Dallas. Remember, 90 minutes. If it stays level, we go to 30 minutes of overtime, and if necessary, a penalty shootout. McCarthy, all energy in that midfield. I think they're going to have to drag Hernandez off, kicking and screaming.
You're absolutely right, Ian. There's no way. I was just thinking the same thing. He's not coming off, and I'm sure even if Shellis Hyman and his staff think, hey, are you okay to continue, he's going to wave them off until he'll be maybe carrying one leg.
It's cleared by Benitez. They're going long along. Dallas now almost bypassing their midfield at times. Now Pereira's on the ball. Bad news that Chavez very, very quick. I think he's been terrific tonight. And you heard him scream there. Wynn complains about the decision, as the referee will want a word with him about that.
Well, Marvin Chavez is holding the ball and shielding it so well. He's great on the ball. Brian Mullen's asking for something.
How did they score their goal?
Well, the last thing I heard from Brian Mullen said, how did they score their goal? That's what he said. He's going back to things that happened throughout the evening. Players always do. This sets up a very important, as you said, this time in the game is important deciders. This could be one right here, Ian.
Pereira looking for a wicked delivery. The goalkeeper has to do his stuff. Pickens with a one-handed punch. Back in by McCarthy. Blocked on the way through. They've had to get some bodies in the way of things. Let's get on to Rob Stone, our medical correspondent for Daniel Hernandez, with an update.
Thanks, Ian. You guys were spot on a few minutes ago about the assessment of Daniel Hernandez. I talked to Shellis Hyman. I said, you know, how is Daniel's status right now? And he gave me one of those grimacing looks and kind of frowned. I said, are you going to sub him, or does he have to tell you? And he said, I am not going to sub him out. Daniel must come to us to tell him he's done.
Thanks, Rob. It's as we thought, I think, huh? George John. Been a full-blooded confrontation, this final. Wasn't the final people were expecting, but it's been a decent spectacle, all right. Omar Cummings is quick, but he would have needed to be a greyhound to keep that in play. Don't forget, Monday, November the 29th, ESPN Deportes and ESPN3.com deliver one of the great games. Barcelona and Real Madrid, 2:55 Eastern, Monday the 29th, El Gran Clásico. Harris White to Cunningham, the great goal scorer. Through ball clever there, kept his hands right down by his side, just to make sure there was no doubt. With difficulty, they get it back to George John.
You see Connor Casey, the effort from him, the physical nature, but he's also chasing things up, applying pressure for Colorado, trying to lift his team back into it. Shift the momentum again if he can.
John, let that bounce behind him. Casey again is another of many, many muscular confrontations.
It is, but also a little bit embellished from George John, and you don't want to see that. You don't want to see players just trying to draw cards on the field and diving.
Simply done by the athletic Kimura. Bombarded colleges with a showreel of his abilities. Most of them ignored the showreel, but not them all. He found his way to the United States to play soccer in the end.
And so did his parents. They're
here tonight.
They're here tonight. They came here tonight to cheer him on and watch him here and see Kimura right there.
And his brother too, I think, is here.
All the way from Japan.
Hope they're wrapped up warm. But we were told it was getting warmer as the game progressed. It could have fooled me.
I think the players are getting warmer on the pitch when they move like that, but tremendous atmosphere though here at BMO Field. Always is throughout the season for Toronto.
And they have Jurgen Klinsmann as their new consultant in these parts. Side who've never made the playoffs yet, Toronto. It's always the first time things can change. The beauty of the competition and changes coming up, as you've been hearing, in the near future. This growing MLS. Darwin unable to keep it in play. Which side here has the character and nerve to close the show? McCarthy with a good ball for Hernandez, who knows where the space is, instinctively feeds Zach Lloyd on that side. Cunningham was waiting to dive in with a header. It didn't quite come to him, but Dallas looked the more likely scorers at the moment anyway.
Well, I think it was a big change for Shellis Hyndman. He put on Cunningham, up top, because he's applying pressure as well. And we see Omar Cummings getting on the ball a little bit more. That always opens up the game for Colorado when he gets there.
Mullen. Good play by him. Bounced a bit crazily, but certainly not a back pass. It was just a deflection.
You see somebody going down there, Ian, off the ball. I think Kevin Hartman recognized it early.
It's Chavez, isn't it? I don't want him injured the way he's been causing some chaos here and there with his pacey runs.
Right, and speaking of pacey run, you saw Brian Mullen, pick up the ball, a very determined run to get past Marvin Chavez, and I'm wondering if the way he stuck maybe his foot in the ground as he went to adjusting and turn a little bit, could have twisted something there. Because he went down quickly after the play, didn't he?
Certainly staying down and requiring some treatment.
There's Jurgen Klinsmann. Right there, you just mentioned him, Ian. Signed in the off-season by Toronto FC to come in as a consultant. And the only way is up, really, because you've got a team that hasn't made the playoffs since their inception into the league.
Well, he took Germany to the World Cup semi-finals, didn't he? When they were the host nation in 2006. One of the great goal scorers of all time, Jurgen Klinsmann. For once, there's a little lull in what's been a fairly intense action. What's interesting here is that Hernandez, who's got this terrible knee, is taking the goal kicks in place of Hartman, who's also got a dodgy knee.
He's got a bad knee as well. It's everybody stand in line. Who's next? But if you got Chavez on the sideline, well, he's starting to run right now, Ian, so he may come back in. But at the moment, I think you see David Ferreira, the number 10, shift out wide on the left side. Well, he's back on the pitch now, so he's okay.
And moving quite well, too. Chavez looks all right. Here's Mastroeni. Smith, who set up the goal wonderfully down the left-hand side, justifying his selection tonight. Ferreira the game.
Oh, what a great ball from Hernandez.
His passing's been outstanding. Zach Lloyd has had 19 starts. Terrific run this from Lloyd. Oh, and there was not a blue and white hoop shirt that he could find, but a terrific run from a young player who's making quite an impression with Dallas.
He did such a great job here. We'll see a little physical challenge late. I think Connor Casey embellished that just a bit.
Yellow card, Benitez.
Yeah, yellow cards to both players.
Casey and Benitez. Now that could have happened at some earlier point in the proceedings.
The free kick given to FC Dallas right now. There's an excellent run from Zach Lloyd. It's a shame nobody on the end of it because he did very well at the last minute to draw players and just kind of sneak it across the box.
Casey with the layoff to Brian Mullen. 32 now. Mullen, he's been in the playoffs for each of the last 10 seasons. Quite a run.
He's trying to chase Jeff Agus, a teammate of mine in the past from DC United, who's done so well for his career to get in the finals. You see Mullen there, just a little stumble. Wasn't even really, it was just an awkward challenger that led to that foul.
Should we be headed for overtime here, I wonder? Pereira might have other ideas. Went past Kimura rather easily, and there it's bouncing around dangerously. Blocked, and then Chavez's effort. Again, they managed to get something in the way. Zach Lloyd, the referee, is pulling back the player to... Well, they're wondering why Dallas, the player's been pulled back there in the middle of an attacking move. As Mastroeni lies on the floor injured, is it a head injury? Well, that was an odd one.
Well, normally, like you said, Toledo, the referee or any referee would stop the game because of a head injury. That's the first thing. Very dangerous. Here's the cross again. The challenge comes in, and here's the deflection. The strike that comes from Chavez. There's the first block. You see Mastroeni down straight away. But this ball gets laid back. You think it's going to be whipped into the box. That's an odd time for just stoppage of play. There's the challenge. I think it comes right across the top of his foot from Cunningham. There's a block from Anthony Wallace.
The Dallas players are entitled to question that.
But just before I would, yeah, absolutely. If I was on the pitch, I'd be questioning it as well. You're just about to send the ball into the 18. Everybody's like, got momentum. They're all attacking the ball. And he stops the game. Well, I know Pablo Mastroeni was down. You certainly want to protect players. I know that's your first responsibility as the referee. Here you see his legs kind of tangle. Cunningham coming through that. Did he catch him on the knee somewhere?
His right knee got trapped, I think. That's what happened.
I see plenty of Colorado Rapids players, defenders, getting in the way of that Chavez shot because that looked like it could have gone straight towards the goal. Easy.
Mastroeni twice in a USA World Cup squads in the past, not in the latest one, but he's been a terrific servant, hasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. He's worked so hard. Great leader this year for this club. He's done well throughout his career.
There might be a lot more work to do for these players. It could be a late night here in Toronto. 86 minutes plus on the clock, and just a reminder again, if it stays level after 90 minutes, we go into 30 minutes of overtime, and if it's still level, then the drama of a penalty shootout. Decided on penalties last year in Real Salt Lake's favour over LA Galaxy. McCarty. Towards Cunningham. Pereira back into the melting pot. Just a bit too long for Harris. If there is to be extra time, it certainly wouldn't be the first time. There's the CN Tower, which is going to change colours to the winning side later on tonight. Look at this view. We were up there last night on the top. It is an incredible ride. That's something like, I think it's 22 miles an hour, the elevators there. Look at the party that the MLS put on for the media.
Yeah, did you enjoy yourself?
I did.
I was working in the hotel.
Yeah,
sorry.
Of course you were, yeah. First time I've ever been handed a blanket.
Did you?
They knew what the conditions were going to be like. It was in our little parcel of goodies on the MLS.
I'll tell you right now, you see FC Dallas with the new formation. Now Atiba Harris and also David Ferreira pushing a little bit higher up that line to at least get closer to Jeff Cunningham and try to link up.
Wells Thompson's going to come on quite soon for Colorado Rapids, but Harris has got in behind here. Drew Moore is there. They couldn't quite find Cunningham or Ferreira, who were waiting. Colorado Rapids, I think, would take the final whistle and overtime now, wouldn't they?
Well, they would, because you saw Zach Lloyd get around Anthony Wallace just before, moments before, and now Atiba Harris getting in behind that side. They're trying to penetrate as much as they can, FC Dallas. Sometimes when you push too many numbers forward, though, Ian, you have to be careful for the counterattack, the transition.
A quarter of Dallas's goals this year have come in the last 15 minutes of games. They are late goal specialists, but it is very late now. On comes Wells Thompson, and it's Jamie Smith who's going to make way for him, so that's a like-for-like switch.
Well, you saw Wells Thompson do so well throughout the playoffs and deputize in Jamie Smith's absence. And it was a big decision for Gary Smith tonight. He said, I had to kind of go with the experience. You see Wells Thompson coming in.
He might have a big job to do as well. I think they're battening down the hatches a little at the moment, the Rapids. Getting everybody back behind the ball. Flicked on by Ferreira towards Cunningham. Wynn won the header. Back in again, it should be the goalkeeper's Pickens, and it is.
Well, it was a great defensive header by Marvell Wynn. You saw Zach Lloyd coming forward, putting it back into the danger area. Matt Pickens was quick to make that decision off the line.
Playing behind a team in Burgundy against a team in blue and white hoops tonight. We did have a spell of Queen's Park Rangers in England who famously wore blue and white hoops. Too much of a breakthrough with them, and coming back to the United States. Mullen inside here for Laurentowicz. Kimura trying to work a little triangle down this side. It's all a little tight. Good beat that by Benitez. Ooh. And things just in danger of boiling up there. And straight away Thompson involved in a confrontation. That's his first involvement in the action.
Well, we've seen it from Wells Thompson before. He gets inside. He loves the chaos, altercations. But he's on the ground, Daniel Hernandez standing over him. Thompson's not getting up. There was a foul. He's holding on. There was a pushing and shoving there. We'll see it here just off the ball. He steps on the ball. I don't know what he's trying to do. He's trying to, I don't know what he's doing, to be honest with you. He's just swinging away, like pushing and shoving going on.
A lot of pushing and shoving. But, well, that's it was handbags at 5 paces.
It is, but it's all on the line tonight. The intensity is there in a cup final. This is what it's all about. The emotions are high. There's going to be a lot of physical play. And the referee has to keep it handled.
On comes Julian Bordet, the 31-year-old defender, who's been in the starting lineup quite a bit. He's had injury problems recently. Scored an own goal against the Rapids away from home in a 1-1 draw. Now then, Thompson. Mastroeni seems all right again after that injury he received in the penalty area. Wells Thompson is fouled.
So you see Drew Moore, he'll shift out to the left back, and he's normally played there in the past. But Bordet will go to the center back position. But watch Bordet as he comes forward here for a lot of set pieces, Ian. Dangerous in the air. He's very good defensively, but also attacking-wise. He scored the winning penalty in Columbus to get through here.
This might be the last incident of the game. Deep into stoppage time. On by Casey. The Rapids just wondered, were they going to steal it right at the death there?
Well, you saw that. It was a very, very late defensive play by George John, just getting a bit of a flick on Ihemelu, trying to make sure that he keeps things safe at the back post.
He's blown up. He's blown for time. It will go. to overtime, and there are more complaints here from Colorado Rapids. Why didn't you let us take the corner first? Well, he doesn't have to do that. I'm with the referee on this. He doesn't have to let them take the corner at all. If the time's up, the time's up. That's it and all about it. 1-1 result.
Well, it's up to the referee. He can add as much time if he wants to. I mean, the players are upset, but there's nothing set in stone. There's not in the law. It's not in the rule book. FIFA laws.
He keeps the time.
Yes,
and
he does.
They were over 2 minutes, which is what we were told. There's a lot to talk about there. Colorado Rapids think they were denied a stone wall penalty in the first half. They might have had a point about that, but Connor Casey, the man who was at the center of that incident anyway, equalized in the second half. And despite the Dallas pressure, it stayed at 1-1.
Yeah, it was a bit fortunate there when Kevin Hartman came out for that cross from Jamie Smith, and he came into a defender, but it sat there on his own, and he was the first one to react until poked it in.
Overtime coming up here, and we might even be set for the drama of a penalty shootout. The Rapids complained more time wasn't added. We go to overtime.
Crates, 14 countries, 14 parties, and one night to make people say, I was there. On November 27th, Smirnoff hosts a 14 Nations Exchange nightlife. Go to facebook.com/Smirnoff Canada for a chance to be there when the best of India comes to Canada. The Smirnoff Nightlife Exchange Project. Be there. Must be 19 years of age or older, no purchase necessary.
I was always taught that it never hurts to help others. Well, there are times when my muscles clearly disagree. Fortunately, there's Tylenol Muscle and Body. It relieves my muscle aches and body pain.
With Tylenol Muscle and Body, the first layer relieves pain fast. The second layer provides extended relief that lasts.
We can all use a little help now and then.
Tylenol Muscle and Body. Get back to normal, whatever your normal is.
Soccer, so often, a single act leads to victory or defeat. It can happen anytime, anyway, anywhere. With one whistle, one goal, one misstep, one move. One moment is all it takes in the MLS Cup Final.
We are live in Toronto tonight, where the MLS Cup goes to overtime. Colorado Rapids and Dallas, who drew both their matches in the regular season, have drawn again over 90 minutes here.
That's unreal when you look at Connor Casey getting the goal tonight for Colorado and David Ferreira for FC Dallas. Well, here's a little bit of the game recap. This is how it happened. Chavez gets the ball down the right side. He pings it in with the right foot. Look at this ball. Excellent ball in there from Ferreira. He runs straight onto it and he finishes early. Jamie Smith does very well to get down the outside as Lloyd. And then Kevin Hartman can't see the ball on the ground. But I'll tell you who can, Connor Casey. And he pokes this one in to equalize. And that's where we're at, Ian.
Now read on, as they say. Dallas in their change outfit, blue and white hoops tonight, as opposed to their usual red and white hoops, which would have clashed with the Rapids colours, hence the change. Dallas got to choose the dressing rooms, the locker rooms. A silent prayer. Please, can we win? Please. Doesn't work like that, does it, usually?
Well, sometimes you need answers from above. to help you.
Praying for divine intervention on a Sunday night.
Absolutely, and again, you know, Ian, it goes into extra time, and you have to kind of look at both teams. It comes down to the fitness level. Who's fresh, who has the legs to go after the game, and right away you see here the energy from Chavez has been excellent tonight. He's really been involved in most of the team's plays going forward. Pablo Mascherani right there in your frame. You wonder if his injury, he had to come off, is that going to affect him? But Daniel Hernandez he's been hanging in there. You spoke about him, Ian. He doesn't want to come out. He's been in 3 MLS Cup finals, and he hasn't won one yet, so he does not want to come out.
Hernandez hitting that long towards Harris, who's now got a head bandage. He found his way through to Pereira. Cunningham with the cute little layoff, and then Chavez unable to keep it down. Let's go down to Rob Stone again.
Well, guys, one quick point from each side of the bench. Spoke with Gary Smith, and he said it's going to come down to one individual doing something to change this game. I asked him who's that individual going to be. He stopped, he looked, and said, Connor Casey gets the game-winning goal for us. On the flip side for Dallas, you guys are talking about Daniel Hernandez. I talked to Coach. I said, hey, do you guys make a sub? Do you make a PK sub if it goes that far down the road? He said, we have to save our sub because of Daniel's situation.
Thanks a lot, Rob. That's all the latest intelligence from down in the dugout area. The coaches are planning and waiting and hoping and probably praying too. Could be quite a late night finale here on the banks of Lake Ontario, an hour's drive from Niagara Falls.
Be smart, boys. Play hard. Play hard. Be smart. Be smart.
I don't think the players had any time for any tourist trips this week. It was all business.
It's interesting, you know, you look at the players in terms of, you know, style of play, a little bit different. FC Dallas, normally the possession style, Ian, and building it up and knocking it around. And I heard Gary Smith, when we had a microphone close to him, and he was saying, you've got to take the sting out of their possession. That means you got to close them down, fight hard, and don't give them space to play as they go into this extra time.
George John elected to try to control that on his chest. Rentowitz with the header, flicked on the head in case he can hit on the end of it. You heard Rob Stett's report there, a little prediction from Gary Smith that Connor Casey was going to get the winner. He's already got one here. Hernandez, not done too much wrong. Pereira looking to break into space. Big defender, Valdec, feeding it wide, but that will run and run on what is a fast, firm surface.
He's fast, but he's not that fast.
The United States women's national team playing the second game of its 2011 Women's World Cup qualifying series against Italy. A goal up from the first leg. The second leg in Chicago on Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, and you can see that game online at ESPN3.com. United States hoping, after a rough old ride, to get to the World Cup after all. Could be tense, that one, couldn't it?
Absolutely. It was a bit of an upset when Mexico beat the U.S. Yeah, I mean, it was just like a shock, really, because
it was the biggest upset ever in women's football, wasn't
absolutely,
it?
Absolutely. U.S. women, #1 in the world, and you know, losing to Mexico doesn't happen. Pia Sundage only had 2 losses her whole coaching career with the U.S. national team, so that was a complete shock. To have to actually go out of their element, the comfort zone, and have to go into a playoff situation is unheard of for the U.S. women.
Atiba Harris. Now the referee wants a word because that was a little tantrum, show of dissent there from Harris, but it's only a word. Not sure how he picked up the head injury. Certainly not bad enough for him to go off anyway. travelling fans. They've come thousands of miles to support their team, and hats off to that. It would not have been a cheap trip. Let's hope these two clubs get a bit more support on the back of this. They're not among the best supported in MLS, are they?
No, but I think, like you said, and you focus on the positives, and for both clubs to get to the final this year is great, and that only spills over. The fans they picked up this year have been tremendous. There's a lot of die-hard fans there, Ian. There may not be a lot, but there's still a very good core group for each club. And they're here tonight.
A reminder that neither side has won the MLS Cup so far. Casey trying to get on the end of it again. It's another sloppy clearance, that really, by Ferreira. Wells Thompson played in again. Again, the defending good enough by Dallas.
They got a second chance. They see Brian Mullen. 5 MLS Cups, but really the defending is going to be tight.
Rob Stone has some more news for us.
Yeah, Colorado set to make their third and final sub. Makuma Kanji will be coming on. He'll be coming on for Omar Cummings. Last couple of minutes, Cummings has been bothered by what looks to be an upper right leg injury. And head coach Gary Smith multiple times yelling at Omar, "Are you all right? Can you go? Can you go?" The coach has finally made the decision on his own, so Kanji's set to come on.
Kanji has been used as a substitute before in these playoffs against the Columbus Crew.
Well, it's got to be difficult because you look at Omar Cummings, he's always a game changer. He's been such a great season. Between he and Connor Casey, they scored goals and assisted and create for each other. And it's going to be difficult as this game goes on, too. You want a player like that can score goals.
Is this the last time we see Omar Cummings in MLS? There's a lot of rumors.
No, it may as well be. We mentioned that early in the beginning of the first half, Ian. He's been sought after quite a bit. But Kanji did come into the game at home against Columbus Crew, and it was very difficult for him to get into the speed of play at that time. And that was almost a difference maker for them because he gave the ball away quite a bit.
Reminder that Sports Center's coming up next as the offside flag stops Ferreira there.
Kanji a pickup from the New York Red Bulls this season.
Sports Center currently on ESPN News, incidentally. Another little bit of the thinking with Kanji might be that he was one of those who converted a penalty earlier on in the playoffs when they needed a penalty shootout to go through. So you've got to have your penalty takers on the pitch.
Well, if you're asking my opinion on his penalty, it wasn't a good one. It still went in, but I mean, they all count, I know. But look, yeah, you've got to put some thought towards that and the big picture thing. Of course, down the line as you go into penalties, and you know, the goalkeepers, look, they make a difference too. We saw Nicky Raimondo and how big he came up for Real Salt Lake last season. And maybe a goalkeeper can be the difference again tonight.
Both teams will have practiced penalties, but it's one thing practicing with nobody watching, quite another when the entire outcome of the final depends on it. You can't recreate that pressure. Then a real scramble for possession. It has to be almost quarried at times in that midfield. Kimura down the line. Kanji, the gangling striker, chasing it. There's the impressive Dax McCarthy. Good ball from him as well. Jeff Cunningham. Back to Benitez again. Looking for the long diagonal ball. It was pretty easy work, really, that for Drew Moore. Colorado Rapids don't keep the ball, and Zach Lloyd can latch onto it. Ferreira looking for another of those cute, clever little balls in which he specializes. Saw him set up Chavez for one last week against Los Angeles, which was just terrific, really. Benitez into the danger area. Hernandez. Kimura did his job well. A lot of these players will be thinking in the back of their minds now, certainly the two goalkeepers, about the possibility of the shootout, the dreaded shootout, the dramatic shootout.
And it comes down to preparation, Ian, too. You know, goalkeepers, they study film, they look at players, and they see where they've taken them, if they've stepped up. Of course, Colorado Rapids winning on penalties against the Columbus Crew to get here to the final. Well, they made all 5 of theirs. Will it be something that they want to repeat again?
Amalu with the defending. Wind whips up again and rain starts to fall now. They're in Toronto, northerly outpost of MLS. New teams from Portland and Vancouver joining the MLS next season. Thompson running this one inside. Now Mastroeni from a long way up, came to Casey. Can he latch onto it again? It nearly fell his way. No, Mastroeni was trying the shot, but it nearly worked for a striker. Thompson again. Good contribution since he came on. They're keeping the ball quite nicely here. Laurentowicz to Mullen, working it well, but that was a little sloppy, and Kimura was unable to latch onto it. The players, of course, are programmed to play 90 minutes, so how tough is 120?
Well, I think mentally they focus on that, Ian. You always prepare, you visualize things where you may be. I think it was a handball right there from Jeff Cunningham. But anyway, in terms of the mental strength, but also physical, it's very important. And some players have an edge that more than others. And that's what it's going to come down to, too. And FC Dallas has some good fitness, but Colorado Rapids, the organization, the discipline, they're playing physical, they're closing down the space. This could come right down to the wire. Then it's a mental mistake, so you got to wonder who's going to make those mental mistakes and who's going to make the other team punish.
Concentration is key, particularly for the defenders. Harris's little layoff to Zach Lloyd. Moore has been very steady again tonight, even against the club he supported as a boy.
Oh, such a great run for Pablo Mastroeni. He just needed a good ball back from Connor Casey. He was picked off. But the energy through the central part of the midfield for the Rapids has been very good.
Harris, not any problem whatsoever for the goalkeeper, Matt Pickens. The only time a penalty hasn't been scored against Pickens in his MLS career was when Brian Carroll put one over the bar in that shootout earlier on in these playoffs. He's not saved one, but that could change tonight too. Eric Avilar's going to come on soon for FC Dallas, and he scored a vital goal against Real Salt Lake 63 seconds after coming on as a substitute earlier on in these playoffs. Clever, darting little player. Avilar, only 22 years of age.
Well, he was a super sub in that first leg against Real Salt Lake. As you said, in the 88th minute, he came in, scored that brilliant goal.
Chavez going off.
Chavez has contributed very well to this game. He goes off on the opposite side of the field. A lot of energy. Provided the ball in for David Ferreira for the goal. And I see Eric Avila come up. There it is right there in the 2-1 win in the 88th minute. Jeff Cunningham, the other goal scorer for that game, picked up, very persistent in the box. He just continued on in that. So they won 2-1 in that match.
I wonder if he has another important role to play. That's the end of the first 15 minutes, so we are 15 minutes away from the shootout here. 1-1 still between Colorado Rapids and FC Dallas. The referee saying it's straight round here, really.
Yeah,
now then, Shellis Heinemann, the FC Dallas coach is with Rob Stone.
Coach, I know you're a little busy right now. Why that sub? What do you see in Avila?
Well, we're going for the win. We're going for a win. I think Chavez is getting a little bit tired, and we're trying to get something a little bit special. And obviously is a good PK taker. So if we get down to that point, then he'd be a good choice for us.
Last 15 minutes, what do you bark at your guys?
Well, we just keep going. Keep going. We're going for the win. The whole mentality this whole season was try to win games, and that's what we're going for.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
He's got some more talking to do here to his players. This is meant to be a pretty short turnaround, isn't it, usually?
Well, it is. The referee, actually, you saw that, Ian. You even mentioned it. The referee blew his whistle and said completely switch right away. No talk for the teams, but they are taking their time. But now, all the subs have been used. The players that are on the pitch right now, they've got to make decisions, the coaches, if it goes to penalties. And I know from the Colorado Rapids point of view, there's only one player that's not on there that took a penalty at the last game, and that's Lopez.
Rob Stone is now with the other coach, Gary Smith.
Gary, you're just barking at Brian Mullen. What were you telling him?
I'm saying that given all of his experience, everything he's been through, he's going to be one of those guys that drives us to the finishing line.
Where's the advantage for you guys right now in this final 15?
I think the fresh legs up front with Mac. Certainly dead balls. We've incrementally got bigger and stronger. I think the game for both sides has become more and more difficult physically, but it's been extremely tight.
Coach, appreciate you joining us live. Thank you.
Gary Smith there, who has a slogan on his wall: live simply, do more, expect less.
Well, the thing is, too, you're looking for certain players to make a difference, and usually it comes from the experience of the guys that have been there before. Brian Mullen, one of those.
Certainly be expecting something here from his players. Last 15. Do they settle for the shootout? Do they really go for it?
No, I think both teams want to go for it, Ian. You want to win it right, in the run of play. Of course, when you get to the shootout, too, that, like you said before, the mental focus and concentration has a lot to do with the physical. And when you're fatigued, that's when your mental starts to go. And you make mistakes and you're not at your best. We saw Baggio miss that penalty in '94 against Brazil.
Yeah.
There's so many penalties that are missed when you're tired and fatigued at the end of the match. You want to get the run and play. You want to get the goal right now before it goes in. And then Landon Donovan and Edson Butto last year, they missed their penalties against Real Salt Lake. So it happens to everybody. We've all missed them. You just want to concentrate and focus and try to get the game winner before it gets to penalties if you can.
It is a spectacle, but it usually ends with somebody being cast as a hero, and unfortunately somebody else is very much a villain, something that's quite hard to live down because it's such a big occasion. Emalu getting the touch. For an 18-year-old called Darren Carter having to take one, almost his second touch in football to get Birmingham City promoted to the Premier League. He put it away too. That's pressure for you. Casey. It's Kanji. Still going. Crazy deflection, and it is an own goal of George John. Colorado Rapids. It's a free goal, but the Rapids are ahead.
Well, Matt Kanji comes on as a substitute. He's down. He's still injured. But the ball gets played out to him on the back side of the 18. You see the anguish from David Ferreira saying, let's get the ball, get it back in play. Still time to equalize. Kanji's injured here. He's down. But he steps over the ball. I don't know what he's doing. He's rolling around on the pitch. Here's the ball gets played out. Kanji takes it down. He's one-on-one against Benitez. Step over. He gets around him with the nutmeg. There's a first foul. He toe pokes it. Just comes off of George John and goes into the near post. Talk about making your own luck. Well, he forces a situation here. And there's a challenge from Ihemalu. Wow, that is... How awkward is that?
What was that prayer about divine intervention?
There you go. But again, it's all about making your own luck. He takes it over, gets the ball through his legs. He reaches for it the last minute. Wow, that is... You don't see that every day. But Brian Mullen surely wants to celebrate straight away. He made the difference coming on as a sub tonight so far, and it's 2-1 up right now for Colorado.
It might be his last touch of the ball, Kanji, and they might have to play now with 10 men. He can't even get to the side of the pitch, and now Dallas are complaining that really this is just time wasting by Kanji, and they're looking to run the clock down.
I'm sure part of it is time wasting.
Well, Hemelu's now pushing and shoving and getting involved, and it's almost descending into farce. I think it is a genuine injury by the look of it.
Hey,
You pulled a face.
You know, look,
you pulled a face, John.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, right here,